three, this meeting will be conducted via in-person and remote means. This means that members of the public body as well as members of the public may access this meeting in person or virtually. The meeting may be accessed remotely via contact provided below. When required by law or allowed by the chair, people wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so in person or remotely. Additionally, the meeting may be broadcast later via the town YouTube channel and Topsfield cable television. We call it to order. The agenda is we're going to review we have meeting minutes, but we're going to do that when we have time. Right now, we're going to have the police come in. They're more than welcome whenever, just let them. And the rest of the departments are going to come in as they can. So they are downstairs. So the select board is also meeting with them to hear their budgets and items. Yeah, grab any seats. Yeah, absolutely. They're downstairs meeting with them, and they will come up as they cycle through them, and then come up here with the intent of if we can roll through these fairly quickly. And if we, by chance, I doubt we will, because we're starting with the police, which means we're giving the select board a chance to get a couple of them done. But if they did, we can pull some people up ahead of police. Thank you, Chief. And we can go from there. And we will so David, you want to, I mean, I think, and also the two intros if need to, but I think
I think you know everybody.
Yes. Okay.
Chief Neil Hurley, Captain Dan Bell, and Michael and I met a couple of times with them. So we let them jump right into their personal.
So thank you.
If you have, I'm all good. We can do it purely off this. If we have it, anyone has it digital format, I can throw it up here as well, but I don't need to.
I do.
Okay. If you have it on that, I can put that in and transfer it. Where's my USB? There it is. Thank you. I trust that there's nothing.
No other environment where you just accept that.
Yes, exactly. As an IT former CIO, there's no place else in my life that I do that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So is there a particular, you want to swing over and I don't want to go through all your stuff. So is this 27 capital and budget?
Yes, FY 27.
Okay. So I'm just going to, a particular one you want me to pull or?
See, right, no, that's not the one.
Okay.
It's gonna be FY, it's gonna start with FY 27.
Website. Do you know if it's on the police website?
Okay, so this one right here is where I am.
No, I don't think it's on the website.
It's not gonna be in there. It's gonna be in the regular files.
So I wondered.
Oh, okay, right at the top. Got it. So,
So if you go to Alexa, right, and you type in FY 27.
perfect.
But I wonder,
One of the issues is there's so many different building numbers.
What's your president?
Yeah.
Between this and the omnibus,
Mhm.
there's a third one, electricity, Alberta
I mean,
meters. And
FY 20 budget.
Yeah, we can do whatever.
Well, it's okay. These are all
Yeah,
Excel. This is gonna be a PowerPoint,
I don't
right?
think traditionally. at this
Let's do it
point,
this way. Let's
budget
start,
we have.
let me start by,
Of course, it's
I can do this.
non-public.
Sure.
Yeah, that then just gives us the ability, my computer is not liking me.
To give people a heads up.
Yes. Just read online. I like to read the car websites,
Yeah.
they hook you with different things.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them was the 6 most powerful 4-cylinder engines.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable power to get out of these.
Yeah,
things.
they're putting turbos on them and everything.
Every
car has turbo now.
On a 4-cylinder.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I've had turbos for 25 years. I love them.
Yeah.
I love the
Alright.
concept. I
Not
never had a
for me.
problem with the turbos.
Yeah. Well, I think routine maintenance is huge, massive with that, making sure that you're.
Let's look at
getting all
that.
I
that.
didn't spin them hard, I
Yeah,
didn't,
well, and that's it
I didn't
too.
rev the RPM.
Chevy,
okay.
Chevy pickups are doing, and actually the big issue here, Tahoes are doing turbos now, they're having a lot of issues with them. People are towing with them, and they're blowing the turbos and blowing the motors.
There we go.
They put this turbo on their standard V8s, or they're.
No, they dropped it to us.
Tahoe and Silverado. And
This
that's one
one?
of our guys at the station.
Okay, so I'm gonna copy, all I'm gonna do is copy it over and then give you the here.
We took one for our last.
Copy.
It's all up and running, so that's like, it just seems like it's too heavy of a truck to you know, it
I had-
felt like it was struggling.
But yeah, no, you know, just.
Yeah, exactly.
Standard demo. work at that.
I actually-
That was a good.
And,
Yeah, about 6 versus a V8.
Yeah,
contractors telling us like end of May, beginning of
Yeah.
June, like around
They
there.
basically
So,
said
yeah,
the turbo
fingers
6
crossed.
was more powerful,
Yeah.
but
My wife's,
Yeah.
we're all itching to get
people
back.
like the torque
yeah,
and the sound of the V8.
yeah, exactly. The torque, yeah, I'm sure is a big difference.
There's so many cars,
Yeah,
like,
like,
the like
yeah,
nicer one had a
My youngest
V6,
had
and now they're all four
Yeah,
cylinders.
yeah, really. Fuel economy now.
Right.
They're all,
Right. Right.
coming down our age.
There we go.
My oldest son, I'm just like, this is just like
FinCom.
town and all of that, you know, so,
Yeah, I won't even ask what your fuel economy
yeah,
is.
so, yeah.
With our cruisers?
Yeah, with the idling and the slow poking around town.
Yeah.
Probably about 6 or
Oh, yeah,
7
it's
miles.
probably-
We're getting, we're getting
100%, yeah.
miles a gallon.
Like another
With
COVID
idle?
year.
Yes, yeah,
It's like,
with idle.
before COVID.
They average, the Tahoe average,
It'd be like
right
right
about,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the highway
There you go.
versus.
Thank you, sir.
They knock 2 cylinders.
Yeah.
All right, great. So now I can,
Four. Yeah, it goes from an 8 to a 4 and idle.
Jay, do you
Yeah.
think we'll attach these to? the-
yeah, I'll shoot them over to you.
No, that's good.
All right, and I will share this up on the screen as well, so that,
Guess what?
That's in my Jeep only gets about 17.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure, that's around town or on the highway?
It's just what it says on average.
Is it standard or?
And it's an automatic.
Yeah.
really, I've got a
Mine,
1500 and
years old though.
I'm getting 20
Here's my,
with the 8 on
El
it.
Camino gets 17, 18.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. We got it up here. There we go. There we go, and we'll put it up onto our presentation. Great, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, good evening, thank you for having us. Pretty much, our budget is 90% of it is all salaries and wages, all contractual, obligations, all signed by contracts to the full-time union, the part-time, police officers, union. Also the Captain Bell by his memorandum of agreement in the town and also my contract. So if you look at, the second actual page, is the salary. So this is going forward with a contractual obligation of what my increase will be in FY 27, also with stating with the same parameters, the 3% the town is giving for the captain. And then the captain also is in charge of the DEER program. He gets a stipend for that. So that's all of our salaries. And then
I
we go
forget
to,
that, so it's a stipend used, Or is that
it's carryover.
Yeah, it's carryover from last year.
so that really does.
So was it
I
600
think
last
you
year?
don't
Or is
even
it-
need it on this
Yeah.
report then.
Because it's not a change.
It's not a change.
Okay, yeah, same amount, so okay.
Yep.
And that,
The wages, you go through all the different lines, police regular, that's all contractual, the administrative assistant, contractual, wage and reserve is all contractual, the overtime, it's all a ripple effect based upon the contractual obligations, to that. So everything in there is all contractual obligations. Now getting into there's no question of salaries and wages.
oh, the only question, so all contractual, when did you should know this, but by now, when do the contracts come up for next negotiation?
So it's, they end on June 30th of 20, they get another year,
Yeah,
one more year. So 27.
Okay, so next year at this time, you'll be discussing contract negotiations.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
For the expenses, every year we talk about our electricity request. A few years ago, I asked for 26%. I was given 10%, so every single year was there a shortfall. When you look at our FY 26 budget, and when you look at our appropriation versus expenses last year, the full year for FY 25, we spent $20,000. We're budgeted for 16. We're already at right now, for our electricity, we are pretty much already spent most of the budget already. When you look at our expenses for the electricity, so as of 12/31, we spent 11,000 out of the $17,000 and stuff. So just an over ask to get us more in line with our yearly expenses for electricity. The other one is, we have not asked for an increase. We always budgeted $688 for our water. We have not asked for an increase, even though there's an increased cost every single year when they do their rate, setting, adjustments. We have not asked for one in 5 years. I've seen our water bill double. So asking to look at some averages over the last, 3 years and came up with, asking for a $300 increase to bring us to $988. The last year we spent close to $1,200 in water, but looking at the averages of, I know one year we had a leak in the toilets and stuff that had a little overflow from that perspective and stuff, so I can adjust for that. That's why I'm only asking for a $300 increase in the water. We know that historically, vehicle maintenance, I did a 3-year average. Our average cost for vehicle maintenance is $30,571. We're asking to increase this. We have not had an increase in many years. Actually, it's when you look back in 2019, vehicle expenses, vehicle appropriation has gone down from 19 to all the way to 25, 26. So why we came up with a over ask of $7,100 is because the fact is that if we are afforded the opportunity for capital projects to get another vehicle, we trade in 1 or 2 vehicles. That way we're getting rid of our older vehicles that are requiring more and more maintenance. So based upon what is projected is to cost us, the captain and I figured it was appropriate number would be there. I know it's a large number, but we've been spending $30,000 every single year over the last 3 years. So when you bundle the whole project together and you're looking at some, buying another vehicle, getting rid of a couple, and hopefully we can reduce the vehicle maintenance by what normally is on an average of $30,000 down to $20,000. So the telephone communications, we're asking for this is a sort of a new project. The state courts came up with a Rule 14. It's all discoverable items. So what we historically have done is the employees use their own cell phones. So all the communications are done from dispatch to the cell phones. They take pictures of accidents, crime scenes. So for me to protect the employees, I did not go buy employees' phones. I went out and bought 5 phones for my 5 frontline cruisers. So they actually now they take the phone, it's in the cruiser, all dispatch will contact cruiser 10's phone. They can take pictures of accident scenes. They can, if that becomes discoverable, then it's a department-owned phone and stuff. So they can have it. So it was, we went through Verizon. I went through 3 different companies to get the best price. It's $37 a line per month times 5. So it's an increase of $2,200. So that is a new project for the protection of the police office from a liability perspective. And the last one is, we went back and forth last year. I presented that we added this app called Blue Voice. It's an AI app. I got a grant last year. So we've been using it for years. We've used it over 900 times. It has all the forms, all the bylaws, all of our policy procedures, everything on this one app. And so I went back to the grant, did only honor the grant for the initial setup. They won't for reoccurring. So to keep that going, this isn't really an ask from the employees. I went to all of them and says, how often do you use it? Do you really like it? They said, yeah, it's been a lifesaver. We go to a situation, we're missing a form, we go to that app, they can print it off right off the cruiser. So that's an over ask for $3,500 to keep that membership going with Blue Voice. So those are my over ask on my expenses.
And we talked about a couple of these, quite some detail. This last one, the Blue Voice, it was paid with a grant. Last year was the first year. So effectively, this is a new program, from a definition. The other thing I just wanted to point out for general information, when it comes to vehicle maintenance, the total miles of the police department are over 100,000 a year. So when you look at that, $20,000 doesn't seem too unreasonable. So just as a point of reference.
Questions? before we move on? Others? The increase of 3,500, is all of that 16,102 going to Blue Voice, or is that other stuff in the 3,500 is,
No, it's-
3,500 is the total cost of Blue Voice?
That's $3,500 for that. That's gonna
That's-
bring my
okay.
total for
Cool.
that line item. to-
Includes your member, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, your AOP, the police officers memberships and things. Okay,
But as Mr. Lawson sort of indicated, our vehicles have extremely high miles. Cruiser 1,270,000 miles on it. A Cruiser 19, 164,000 miles on it. Cruiser 14, 146,000 miles on it. So these are the vehicles that we're looking at trying to replace, get rid of, trade in. But we know that, sometimes I look at it a little different than most people. I look at the car's worth more to me than it is to an auction. Because we're gonna get about $1,000 if we're lucky on a trade of these vehicles and stuff, so.
I think everybody knows too, when they say 160,000, that's actual miles. When you add on all the effective idle time, we're talking like 400,000 miles.
Yeah.
That's why it.
Well, yeah,
Just crap.
so it's almost like hours is a better,
Right, Ford says 30 miles is equivalent to 1 hour idling. So when you idle for an hour, it's 30 miles. That's what Ford Motor Company says. I think that's what you use, Dan.
Yeah, typically, all the manufacturers are right around 30 miles per every hour. They give or take a couple miles here and there, but 30's average.
And you're idling 60% of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Our vehicles average when we calculate a 5.5 hours, an 8-hour shift, they're idling.
Wow.
So, yeah. So. Are there any questions on the expenses?
anybody have any?
I don't know if this is an appropriate question to ask now, but obviously guideline was, 2.26%. Is there anything that you would be willing to, or
Able to,
it would be, not a, I don't want to say it's all a necessity, but if we had to put something on, if the select board put something on override and it was identified for town operations and that override didn't pass, is there something that you can see, postponing, deferring?
so, yeah, so if, I know.
Is that an okay question to
It's a
ask?
perfectly fine question. If I understand the question correctly, in effect, let's say you have your whole budget and everything gets brought through and then town meeting says no to the override. And suddenly you're at a point where we have to go to a budget without what are the things from your budget that you'd say, we need these, but these are the things that are going to get cut this year?
And you don't even have to answer that right now, but just you thinking about it.
Yeah, because that's going to
Oh,
be,
yeah, we always think about it. We, think we have a very lean budget, as it is, from an operation perspective. All of our costs are going up. We try, our best throughout the whole year to manage the money. But, if I'm looking at something and you just say like office equipment and furniture, like, okay, there's only $1,400 in there, but you know what? Then I wouldn't buy any furniture. I would buy a chair. I would like put that off for another year. So I would look at like small pieces throughout the whole thing and where I can reduce. But we do this constantly. So when I get into the most stressful parts of the job is in May and June, when you're trying to manage your money and we're going to firearms. Okay, how many bullets do I buy for qualifications? And sometimes I won't buy ammo until the week before because I don't know what the money situation is going to look at. We have a vehicle breakdown right now. The captain came to me and says, like last week was a really bad week for vehicles. I think your vehicle is what, $5,000 to $7,000 need to repair.
Yeah, we just added the coolant leak today, so it's just.
coolant, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Every day it's just something. So now I'm like, okay, we don't have the money to do that. We're probably not going to fix that car. So that car's just going to be out of service, sitting there taking up a parking spot. But we have to be fiscally responsible. We take a look at every single item, what we're going to do. The assistance would be, like, I know there's no guarantees and stuff of the appropriation capital expenses, but, when we take a look at this, if we get a new car, then I can make decisions. If we get 2 cars this year, I can make different decisions and stuff. So.
Thank you.
Other question? Any other questions, anyone?
Okay, moving on to capital requests. Again, looking at first and foremost, police cruiser. If I had a prioritize, that would be number one. I think that's not a need. With Explorer, gone back and looked at the Ford Explorer. We'll look at the Chevy Pacer, which is an electric vehicle. We've also looked at the Chevy Tahoe. Ford and Chevy flip-flop. I switched to Chevy because they were $10,000 cheaper than an Explorer. So we did really well for a couple of years. Well, they just flipped. So if you want to look at the cost of a Chevy, it's $10,000 more than an Explorer today. But I think we have to look for the future because of the fact that the equipment can be transferred from one vehicle to another if we stay consistent with our vehicles. If we switch back to a Ford, everything that we are purchasing, the last 4 Chevy Tahoes, none of that equipment can be transferred. The cages, the push bars, all of cabinetry cannot be transferred.
What's the value of that? $10,000
In terms of,
of the materials you potentially could transfer? I
I
know and for everybody's benefit, I know outfitting these is $25,000 to $30,000. Once you buy the base vehicle.
Yeah.
So maybe 10,000 of that.
yeah, and I would honestly say it'd probably be a little more than that. Just due to the fact that if we can transfer over some the light package, and it's almost $7,500. Our cage is another several $1,000s. So, I think, if without knowing the number off the top of my head, 10,000 would be
There's
pretty.
a lot of justification for standardizing, even if it's more.
Absolutely.
expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
Recognizing, and fully agree with what you're saying, but recognizing that Chevy and or Ford will in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years throw a loop for you because they'll redesign the vehicle, and then some of your things are no longer. I remember this happening a few years ago.
Yeah.
About every 5 years,
Yeah.
5 years, they change the configuration of it.
Yeah.
But
Then something like maybe a light bar will still work. I don't know, but a roll cage almost certainly won't
Right.
inside of it, but a push bar I'm sure will work, but anyway, yeah.
So I think that one's pretty straightforward. Honestly, I think that when it's proven out in 21, 23, and we didn't ask one in 26, that really has put us behind. That's why our vehicle maintenance costs are consistently going up. Where historically, you look back since 2009, we got a new vehicle every single year. In 2012, we got 2 vehicles that particular year, but historically, it's always been one vehicle. We trade one in, we get a new, trade one in, and we always saw our vehicle maintenance pretty consistent on that rotation of the vehicles. The next one. What?
Sorry, did we get one last year? I can't remember.
No.
No, last year, but we did the year before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was our choice last year. It wasn't,
Okay.
I know that it was a very challenging year with free cash. So the town administrator and I, and since we are getting our vehicles so late in the year, we put the order in July. We don't get them till February. So I just got 2 vehicles in February. I'm like, okay, I can probably go with them. So
Okay,
we
right.
made a choice. That was our choice. So.
Okay, thanks.
The next one is the air conditioner. So our second floor, we have 2 air conditioning units. One is the refrigerant for the first floor. We have a second one for the second floor. That was put in 2003. Life expectancy of 15 years. A couple of the concerns about it, broke down 3 times last year. Increased we had out of a building maintenance, increased some of the expenses for that. It's operated off the refrigerant R22 Freon, which was banned back in 2020. They've already upgraded to I think it's 34A, and then that's been banned, and now we're at 34B or some type of refrigerant. So it's a toss-up. It works today. I might get another year out of it. I don't know, but so this is a tough one for me because when it breaks, then I'm going to come to the finance committee and say I need an immediate $30,000 to replace this, or we plan ahead. So I think that's it could be a long discussion regarding that, and what is the best course of action. So I know it's on borrowed time, but again, it does work. So I just want to be transparent with everybody, and if that's a decision that the select board and the finance committee make, that we'll see what happens, then I'm okay with that. So the other one is you see the new split air conditioner for the third floor. We got a price for that. Our third floor is our training room. It's also our female locker room and the female bathroom up on the third floor. So we've tried some window air conditioners. They weren't sort of satisfactory. We looked at this option of a split air conditioner system. When I saw the price, I almost fell over. I didn't think split air conditioning systems were that expensive. But this one came in because of, the fortress, the building that we have for them to sort of vent it out and run the piping on the outside of the building. So, the captain and I went up to Home Depot. We bought a nice big air conditioner, threw it in the window. My female employee was super happy. It cooled the room off, and so I consider those window air conditioners as throwaway. If I can get 2 or 3 years out of them for $350, and I put 2 of them in there, I think somebody calculated out it would take me like 92 years before I would spend the $21,000. So I honestly I want to take that one off of the capital items, of the capital request, because I don't think it's fiscally responsible to incur that expense to cool a room where I can do it satisfactorily and the employee was happy with what we did. So I would like to remove that one from the capital request.
What's the heat up there? Is it all part of the same?
We have a whole boiler system, forced hot water and
Yeah,
stuff
so
like that.
it's on it's a separate zone or
It's all radiators.
yeah, all up there.
Yeah,
Okay.
all cast iron radiators. So honestly, the heat is phenomenal in that building. The air conditioning is questionable.
Yeah.
So. So that's our air conditioner. The next one is this is a difficult one. So our tasers we bought in 2017, they're X2s. They've outlived their life expectancy of we have no warranty on them. They're no longer making replacement parts for them. And there's no liability coverage from Axon. Axon's pretty much the only player in town for tasers. So this is a pretty hefty cost, but this is, and I would have Amanda speak on this or how it would really work, but that $86,000 is to be paid out over a 5-year period. So this is 86,000 is they take 1/5 of it and stuff, and then we would get billed every July 1st for that's like 17.5. That would give us 16 tasers. It would give us all replacement parts, replacement cartridges, replacement batteries. It's an all-inclusive package, so there's no additional cost over the 5 years. We would get the millions and millions of dollars of liability protection from Axon. People question whether you actually need tasers. I'm a firm believer of tasers. It gives us a less lethal use of force because other than that, we're going to go from our baton to shooting somebody. And the last thing that I want is an officer involved shooting when we have an option to be, 10, 15, 20 yards away from a person, 20 feet away from a person and be able to use a taser to, whether it's a deterrent tactic or not. People, you can look at the history of them. We've only activated the taser once. And tased the person that was non-compliant, and but we've taken it out on multiple occasions. So a lot of times, if Dan and I were having an interaction, he may have lethal, I may have less lethal, so we can actually bounce that back and forth. So I know the cost is when I went to I got the price. I went to the captain and said, "Hey, what do you think about new tasers?" He was like 86,000. He's like, "You're out."
How many is that?
He goes, "You're out of your mind."
14 of them.
So,
What's the life expectancy?
And
so they're 5 years.
We've been told that the Taser 10, which is the newest model out there, that it's going to be well over 5 years. I worry about that in the sense that it seems like every 5 years they're coming out with a new product. It's a sales pitch for them, for sure. But I would like to hope where the amount of life we've got out of these, it'll be more than 5 years. I'm hopeful that we're looking closer to 10, to be honest with you.
And does the liability coverage follow the life expectancy or the
5
new product
years.
release or?
This is
had no
5
idea?
years.
Yeah, so the liability will be 5 years. Yeah.
So the warranty in them is 5
It's
years.
essentially $1,000, over $1,000 a taser a year for 5 years.
Yeah.
But if that's their life expectancy, it's forever.
Right.
Yeah, you're right, exactly.
Basically paying,
It's
basically paying for that service.
Right, right,
$1,000.
exactly. It's recurring revenue, tasers as a service. You know, fully supporting tasers. I want you having a taser on your side.
So we,
But
you know,
it's just-
we pushed the
That
limit.
should almost be like just an operating expense at that point.
Right, well, that's what I'm thinking, is that if that's what it becomes, if it turns into this, it has to, not saying now, but it has to turn into an operating expense. I don't know, legally, it might need, I'm not sure on the policy side, not our state policy. There's something like that when in effect it's an ongoing lease and the lease ends and your service ends, and that kind of has to be baked into operating. I think. That's something we probably need to, not whether we support it or not, but how it gets done and whether it gets added to previous pages as an operating item. We need to think about that, right?
Can bring that one back.
Yeah. So I think you have an annual, in essence, you are leasing them.
Is it a lease agreement? Or do they set it up so it's like, it is, but it
It's a
isn't?
zero interest, 5-year payment.
Five-year payment plan?
I know you can do this a little bit and go either way.
Yeah, I mean,
but-
I think that zero interest to me means they're just giving you a payment plan to
Right.
purchase it over a period of time, but to me, that's not necessarily a lease.
No, but when you then tie the end of life to the end of the lease or the end of the payment,
But then are you saying that they're not, then you're locking them into not using them more than 5 years?
they're locking it in because at the end of 5 years, you can't get any charges for it. And by charge, you can't get any replacement cartridges for it. So they've effectively locked you in because they're saying at the end of the 5 years, your payment's done. But as I heard here and what I interpreted, and correct me if I'm wrong, you came at them in year 6 and said, hey, I used a cartridge, I need new cartridges. They'd go, no, we're done.
I'm hopeful that we'd have to pay for them.
Yeah.
At that point, they did tell us that the insurance liability would be done at 5 years.
That's what concerns me.
But again, we had a pretty
What is-
conversation with Axon, the Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty disappointed if, what he said was false and saying these aren't gonna go beyond the 5 years. In the technology on these new tasers, in my opinion, is top notch,
Mhm.
but technology is always changing too, so I do worry about that.
Well, and I don't run this kind of business, but I run a business where annual recurring revenue is the goal, and not, here's one payment.
Yeah.
It's, I want a little bit less every year. And so I'm look at the company and the company leadership is probably sitting there going, let's do everything we can to get an annual indefinitely.
Is it itemized, like how much of it is for the insurance, how much of it is for,
It's all-
And what does the insurance cover? Is it, I mean, when you say liability, it's a liability that the taser doesn't perform as correct? Or,
Injury, on not only officers' end, plus, suspects' end,
Yeah.
any malfunctions, things like that. We do have their liability form that breaks everything down.
Yeah.
And, after adding everything up, it's
basically a warranty.
10 to 15
Sounds like-
million dollars.
Insurance, like if an officer uses it and it hits somebody in the eye and it was supposed to
Yeah.
hit them in the chest.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
are we covered by,
Yeah.
because I thought it was our liability insurance.
sounds like it's liability,
No,
well,
it's from the company.
Yeah, from the company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like, so we haven't had that in 5 years then. The liability coverage.
Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah.
just about that.
but well, the first thing they would do is look and say, in the case of the eye example, you used it wrong.
That's my point,
Yeah.
but that's why I was thinking it was the town coverage, but it sounds like it's not, it's for the actual product, not
Yeah.
for any lawsuits or something. Okay, but that makes me feel better. Ish.
We're getting less of a deal.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
The
Yeah,
other one
we-
is, I don't know, we would need the appropriation of the 86,000, but I don't know how it all
Yeah.
works, but the payments, is that just extend free cash for a longer period of time or.
Well, yeah, that becomes a problem because you're looking at use free cash, but we couldn't issue the 86,000 this year. It doesn't get expended this year.
You can roll forward.
Sure you can. You can just roll them on.
Yeah, we have,
Well, you can agree to the commitment.
But that locks up all the money. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you would have a warrant article for 86 that
That's
you would roll forward for
for
5
5
years.
Or actually 4.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one, honestly, I did not have this in the FY 27 capital. I was asked to put this on, to the 27, capital. I had this projected out. If you look at my 5-year plan, I had a new command vehicle scheduled for FY 28 and stuff, so. But anyway, again, it's gonna be the chief's car. They wanted to try to as a command vehicle, but honestly, it's the chief's vehicle. Chief's vehicle now has 95,000 miles on it. And so it's gonna, again, we know when everything hits 100,000 miles and all the warranties are gone, that's when everything breaks. So, you know, whether it's this year or next year, I was asked to put it on this one and move it forward.
I think probably contextually the ask there was because we're at free cash this year
Right.
and may not, you know, if we don't use it, then great, we'll have it next year, but.
One of the discussion with the chief, one of his thoughts was, you know, he's close to retirement. That it would be nice to leave the choice of the new command vehicle to the new
Mhm.
police chief. That's why he had scheduled out a year or so.
Okay.
I did have some comments if I could, Jay, on the taser replacement.
Yeah.
I really struggled with this, and so did the chief. We had quite a discussion of it. The current ones, they work fine. They're tested before each shift,
Mhm.
so they function. So you test them before each shift. We've used them once, energized it since 2009.
Yeah.
So the current ones function. I totally support the concept of a taser boy, absolute 100%. In my mind is the amount of money, you know, is it necessary to buy them now? You know, can we wait a year or two? One thing the chief has done, which is great, he's gone to some towns that have converted and gotten some of their old ones for backup.
Okay.
So,
Well, that works great if you test and it fails, but if it's a false positive and, you know, a real test is, I agree with you. I'm just,
that's why I'm
you know,
so,
this,
yeah.
Yeah.
this is
Really
a struggle.
conflicted on this.
There are certain things I'm not gonna get involved in selecting, you know, firearms and.
We do, really worry about it and stuff. We've had some, you know, broken pots and
Yeah.
that's why I went to the city of Lynn and went through the solicitor's office and
Right.
they gave me 4 because they did the transition from the X2, which we have, to the X10.
Okay.
But the captain was telling me a story today that a neighboring community just did their taser training and they had 3 misfires and 3 faults on the X2s. We're starting to see a trend of them not working and having some faults. So the last thing I want to happen is an officer thinking about this reliable piece of equipment and it fails,
Mhm.
you know?
We do have, some of our tasers do have a malfunction light on them. They're arcing and doing our spark tests that we do at the beginning of the shifts. We don't deploy them and shoot the probes. We'd be spending huge money if we're doing that, like, as you were mentioning, but you know, the neighboring community had just randomly ran into an office over there as a taser instructor and they're carrying the same ones. They're seeing the same issues with the malfunction indicator lamp that's on with them. They had 3 misfires, which they were expecting it to work just fine. Luckily, it was a training environment and, you know, but another concern for that is we can't even send our tasers back to Axon to fix. If we do have a malfunction, they're done. So the chief was, you know, did a great job talking to Lynn PD to help us get some of their tasers because they just moved to the X10s, which, you know, was what we had put in for. But yeah, it's nerve wracking in the event that we need it and it doesn't work. I'm hopeful
Is it
that
important that every officer carries the same taser? If you do like similar cars, you know, like 5 a year or something, or that's just not.
yeah, if for any reason, everything's interchangeable. So if, you know, I deploy my 2 cartridges, a partner has his or hers, you know, we can swap without a problem. Different products, different cartridges, and they're not interchangeable. So I would recommend staying with the same.
That's it.
Good question.
Just curious, if you just, because I'm wondering how we could just get this as an operating expense,
Yeah,
like
sure.
10,000 a year on tasers, and it's just not a topic anymore. As opposed to doing the big.
And the standard is for every officer to have one, just like a weapon.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah,
the cell phones in the car, so.
Yeah, so all the full-time officers issued their own tasers. The part-time officers, we have a locker.
Yeah.
And they rotate, they're not always.
Yeah.
But then when we get to the Topsfield Fair, I have some officers that are carrying tasers because I don't have enough
Right.
for everyone, but I take that risk.
You know, the general comment on vehicles, the intention of the chief is to turn in one additional vehicle. In other words, drop the total fleet by one. So if you buy one new Tahoe Cruiser, he's gonna turn in two vehicles.
That's the intent.
And one hopefully is my favorite.
Okay. Any further, just in the interest of time and wanting to continue moving us forward? We had a bunch of others to meet with. Is there any other questions?
And these are gas powered, they're not.
Yeah, these are different technology. Well, the new ones are different.
No, you're talking about the vehicle.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the taser.
No, that's not,
It's quite-
Don't want to add gas.
No, technology has not reached its peak level right now for us to make that decision. So I have the infrastructure now, but I am not ready to buy another electric vehicle. I think we're two, maybe 3 years out. I just talked to a chief that bought the Chevy Blazer and he goes, I would never, ever buy one again. So it's just not there.
Any further question? No. Chief, Cap, it's great seeing you guys.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Anyone has any questions, you know where to find us. We're more than happy to discuss anything with you guys. Of course. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a great
Look
day.
deeper into the budget, and you wanna come over to the station, or we can leave anybody, wants to have you to discuss anything you want. It's a pretty complicated budget.
That's what it's supposed to, okay,
Yeah.
for the time.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Great evening. All right, who are we doing next? Clerk?
Here first.
Clerk was here first. Yeah. We're gonna run right down the line. That's right. And we're gonna do them quick and fast and we appreciate everyone coming and staying. We tried to do this with, we tried very hard to do this from on the same night. So you'd have one night that you're a little long rather than two nights having to come in. So, thank you. From a clerk's budget.
Well, first, just a clerk business, just so everybody knows, nomination papers are available starting today for the upcoming election. We just flipped into February, so we're kind of in a little bit of a grace period if anybody here has not licensed a dog yet.
Mike's done.
Okay, just checking. Just checking.
Unless I
Just, you know,
went online and did it, so.
and
gotta
ethics.
do mine.
Is everybody up to date with their ethics and stuff?
So I'll talk to you later on that.
Okay.
I'm getting notices that I'm not,
Me
but
too.
I
Okay.
dumped you my certification in October and
Yeah,
November.
so everyone has to remember that you have to do the acknowledgement every year. And if you're getting a reminder, it might be because you did it last January, because the state had taken over this portal and they reminded everybody
Okay,
in January. So you may have done it. So it's two things.
yeah,
So
okay.
it depends on whether you have to do the hour-long
That's
training.
in November.
That's every other year,
Yeah.
but the acknowledgement is every
Okay.
year. And I know everybody feels like they just did it, but if you have any questions, let me know.
So the acknowledgement, if anyone's taking those notes, that's me. It's probably I did the training. I know I did the training, but
Yeah.
not the.
How
but not
about
the
you? Have you
acknowledgement.
done the
I
training?
did it.
Okay, great,
Yeah,
perfect.
it was
Well,
easy.
he's new, so he would have done both at
I
the
know
same
it, yeah,
time.
yep.
Okay,
Okay, I have to log in and I check the system, but if anyone has any issues or questions, give us a call and we can figure it out,
okay.
okay?
I'm gonna stop sharing on that. And we'll go back now to the meeting. I was sharing the police budget. Town clerk, what do you have? You wanna?
Yeah, no, and I apologize. I was kind of got to Beth a little bit later in the game than I would have liked to, but it's pretty straightforward budget. There's a few over asks that I'll let Beth get into, but they're fairly minimal from what I have seen. And a lot of it has to do with elections.
Yeah.
So there's 3 upcoming elections this coming year, or in FY 27. You got the state primary, the state election, and then the local election coming up. So there's definitely some increased costs with that. There's COLA increases for both Beth and her assistant. And then there is an over ask on the compensation for the election warden and constable too, who haven't been compensated, or their compensation hasn't been increased in quite a number of years, from what I understand.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only real ask this year for me. Most of you that have been on the FinCom for a while remember that over a period of time, we had been bringing up the election worker rate to match Massachusetts minimum wage. And so we had brought that up to $15 an hour, which is the minimum wage in Massachusetts. So now it kind of escaped me that the warden and the constable haven't received raises. And in doing research, they both go back to at least FY13, but I'm pretty sure that the warden goes back to like 09 since they've had a raise. And these 2 positions are at the election with me all day long. They are really, the warden is really the one in charge at the election. I'm kind of like there, but more hands off. And the warden is the one that deals with anyone that comes in. If for some reason they're not coming up on the voter list, or if they need to come to what we call affectionately the naughty table. If they haven't filled out their census, return the census, then they would appear inactive. And so they have to come visit and the warden is the one that, that then does that paperwork with them so that they can then go and vote, deals with any issues with the tabulator. Sometimes ballots stick in the tabulator and things like that. The constable is also there all day long. So these are, and when I say all day, that's like a 14 to 16 hour day. That's what an election day is.
So where's the increase in the well, in the budget? It's not in the, is it not already included in the base budget in the omnibus? The only increases I'm seeing are in the omnibus itself. Here, let me share this.
The election workers.
The election workers, but it's, the note is due to increase in, shoot, give me a sec, I'll throw it up there. I just lost it, next. There we go.
You maybe include them in the election workers line.
It's in the election worker
Okay.
line. That's where it would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the,
Similar to the way we did the election worker
Yeah.
raises every year. I did it as a separate ask on the budget change
Yeah.
form. And
okay,
it's, it makes the percentage look huge.
Yeah.
But it's really not a
So-
lot of money. And Amanda, it's
The constable that shows
Yeah.
going
$135.
on mine.
Well,
right,
so you might be looking at the stipend line. So the constable, we just have this, that's okay, because we just have this confusion downstairs too. I was just talking to
Ah.
the select board. So the constable also gets stipend as similar to the Board of Registrars. So he gets a stipend every year, but in addition to that, he's paid per election.
So the $300 is a stipend?
That's the $300 for this.
You might make a note, Amanda, just put dash stipend. Easier to.
there it
So
is.
that raise is in the election workers.
It's in the election workers,
Okay.
yeah.
Are they
Yeah.
broken out on the, I haven't seen, I'm not looking at that sheet right now. Are they broken out? How much of the 7,200, 7,255 is for just the added elections, overall cost versus how much is the increase in the amount we're giving, or supposed to give to the constable and warden?
So the way I did it was raise or no raise. So,
And just what I'm really looking for is, okay, there's a bit of this that is an annual increase that'll be there indefinitely. That's the added cost for the salary increase.
Mhm.
And then there's a bit of this that is, okay, now take that piece out of this number for this year and then divide the rest of it by 3. And the following year, if there's only one election, I'd expect to see this line go down by that much next year. So including the 7255 is two things. The increased cost for the warden and the constable,
Mhm.
and the fact that you're going from one election to three
So three,
elections.
right.
So what I want to do is pull out the increased cost of the warden and the constable, so I know how much of it is the times three.
Okay,
So if we know the warden and constable increase amount,
so,
and if you don't, we can, that's something that can be provided later too. It
Mhm.
does, I don't need it, we don't need it today.
You know
Okay.
what that
I can work with you to
Yeah.
provide it.
Yeah, I mean, you
I
ought
have
to
it
know
here.
anything. Yeah, let's just know what it is,
So
and you
this
guys
is without the raise and this is with the raise.
Mhm.
This is
Oh,
the
that's-
warden.
yeah, so perfect, you got them right there. You can just give us those.
Yeah, I think it's your 130.
Yeah, it's 135. It's just $135.
Okay, so,
It's,
okay,
which is,
Which is a very small portion of.
Yeah,
that
the 72.
75.
okay, so just check that, if that's the case, just check that, if that's the case, then we know that 7,100 of this, 7,120 is because there are three elections, not one,
Mhm.
and next year that would come back down. Okay. All right, any other items? Anything else you want to cover?
I think I'm all set. That's the
Question?
only thing that
Clerk?
anybody.
Just one. The census,
Mhm.
I think that drives a lot of the state, maybe federal monies. The census is very important. Do we have people basically participating, or do we have a shortfall that might be addressed by other avenues?
A short, well,
In other words, people not filling them out.
we always have we always have about 300 to 400 that don't come back necessarily out of the 2,700 that we send out, I think. We, try to tell people with social media and whatnot, why it's important
Right.
to return it. It affects grants, it affects budgeting for the schools. It's a good public safety tool. Because if you're not listed, if you don't return the census, then you're not listed in the street listing, and the street listing is used by the public safety people.
Can't get your fare tickets.
You can't get those fare tickets, yes.
I think the biggest motivator there is.
Good point.
Okay,
Okay,
that sounds like a big number and an opportunity to, increase grant money or things like that.
yeah, if we think the number's materially low.
It said 300 or 400 out of 2,700 didn't return.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty good opportunity, not for you per se, but for the town.
Yeah, that's true.
And we do put out social media saying, it's still time to get it in, and we try to inform people about why they're important, but I try not to hang my hat too much on the fare ticket thing.
That's something, Amanda, you might bring up in one of your finance meetings to see if there is an opportunity there to get a better participation. Is it worth it? I don't know.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. It's a good point.
I mean,
And or
Could be a lot of money,
something,
but-
something to also bring up to Kevin and talk
Yes.
to him about, and the
I
select board.
mean, if it affects the school money, everything else.
Yeah, I mean, if it,
It's could be a pretty serious.
well, if 300 or 400 aren't being returned, that's censuses.
Right.
Yeah,
That's just taking a guess, that's 700 to 800 people.
right.
Right, but that doesn't always affect things. For instance, today I got some numbers for Kathleen. Is she up here yet, or is she still downstairs? So Kathleen Barbarisi was looking for some numbers for that, and I went directly into the state voting system, and it doesn't really give us numbers, crunched numbers, but I could run an internal report, and at the end it does tell me how many. She was looking for how many people over the age of 60 in town,
Mhm.
and then comparing that to how many people I have as part of the population. So the total population, I think today the number came back at 6688. But that's just today. You know, that's going to change tomorrow based on every day we have voter registrations coming in from the motor vehicle people, and that, you know, so it's a very fluid number.
Okay.
So I can give her number, you know, if somebody comes to me, like Kathleen came to me and said, I need blah, blah. So, you know, that doesn't really impact the people that didn't respond, because I still have them. Just because they didn't respond doesn't mean that they're not voters. They do become inactive voters, but they're still technically a voter.
Okay.
And they're still a resident.
The other thing would be curious is what is actually impacted by that from a budget? Because I mean, ultimately, nothing federal is impacted by that, because that all comes off of this 10-year census, you know. So it's any, and I don't know how state uses what they use, but we should need to understand that. Okay. What else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see
Great.
you all.
Good seeing you.
Don't forget, if anyone needs their dog licenses, it's not too late.
Okay.
Or turn in those censuses.
Vote, vote, vote.
Licenses are done. That. Do some introductions.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Jackie Yee.
Yeah.
I'm the conservation agent and sustainability coordinator. The conservation budget is very simple. It's just the standard salary increase for everyone. The reason for that is that our bylaw fees cover the rest of the line items.
Okay.
I was gonna ask you, do you know how much you're generating in fees?
Before we do that, just so you know everybody in me there, because this is one of the first times you've been up here with us. So I'm Che Alwell. I'm the FinCom chair. I'm responsible for trying to keep these people. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Trying to just keep this running.
Michael Conieris. I'm actually the newest FinCom member. I just started over the summer. So nice to meet you.
David Larson. I'm the oldest,
No, well,
not by service.
yeah, duration.
By hair color.
I said newest, not youngest. Also true.
Yeah.
And Catherine Hodges. I think this is my 4th year on the finance committee.
Tom Watkins, my 2nd year on.
Welcome.
Thank you.
This is your 2nd year too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
started mid-year last one.
Yeah, I started December 2024. The bylaw fees, I don't remember off the top of my head how much we brought in, but we typically have extra that goes back into the general fund. So this year, 5,000 extra is being taken out.
I think it averages around 10,000 a year in revenues and usually 6,000 in expenses.
Okay, thank you. I imagine if that ever became a problem, we could raise our fees if we were not generating enough. But we don't need to at this time.
Okay. So really, yeah, so you just it's basically a 3% increase. It's up on the screen behind you. So, you know, basically a 3% total increase. Although, let me ask, what's not for you. Oh, actually, no, that's because of the administration. I was going to ask Amanda why there was 182 but I understand. Never mind. Anybody have any questions for Conscom?
Maybe
About this?
There's no expenses for Conscom, or it's handled differently?
They're all handled within our bylaw fund. So our bylaw fund comes from the fees on the permit applications, and then we use that for everything else besides the salaries.
No questions?
No.
Nothing about Conservation Commission in general? You want to learn, know, understand? I learned years ago when I moved into town, I learned all I needed to know and more about wetlands and the fact that when the beavers create new wetlands, well, that's your problem. My problem is not in fans, but
It's not an easy job.
yeah. We thank you for it.
You're welcome.
Right. I think that's it. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
John Boulay, the Health Director.
Yeah. Welcome. Do that. So Board of Health and everything associated from a health side. There was a few years back before you were here where you guys were big topic of conversation, as you know, I'm sure. Let's hope you're not in the near anytime in the future. All right, let's jump in. Again, you heard, but we'll go through it again. Heidi, David, Michael, Che, Tom, Catherine, and you already know
Nice to meet
our
you.
wonderful accountant, Amanda.
So yeah, my budget is also pretty simple. The only change really is the COLA increases. Outside of that, everything's remaining the same as last year. So it makes it pretty easy.
So, okay, questions anyone has? And,
I didn't see the COLA increases.
Last year, we budgeted for Jerry. Or like this budget schedule is based on Jerry's salary.
Oh, okay.
is this year's budget accurate to actual salary, or is it,
It's a little higher.
so this is over, it's budgeted over what actuals are?
Would you repeat that, Jay? Does this have to do with the number of weeks per year?
No, this is the fact that the previous person had longevity,
Oh, okay.
years of service, so it's higher on the steps and grids, so the 84,502 is a little higher than what your current actual salary is.
So this is not one of those leap years where we have an extra week
No,
that used to get us,
yes.
you know, because then the increase would be bumped up a little bit because of an extra week.
Well, so we want that that should rationalize to actual and adjusted. Okay. Beyond that, any other questions that anyone here has? Or I do.
Yeah, it was just, so I think what you were just asking is the fact that there's no increase in those expenses. How is year to date this year?
Well, no, what I was just asking was line 731 right here. Shows 84,502. So, but that's because that was the salary for the person who had the job a year ago, who had more years of service, so on the grid, if you will. This should be corrected to what the actual salary is. Just in other words, from a budget perspective, that's a place that we should minor correction. I know it's not a big deal, but did you have a different question?
Because it looks like you're maintaining under budget. The fact that you didn't increase for other expenses is because you're keeping under budget. As 6 months, if you annualize that, you're still under budget, so that's.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dead animal was an interest one from a few years ago. And so that contract hasn't changed.
No, it's still TW excavating.
Yeah.
They call when we call.
Yeah.
So they go out. I just signed one last week. So
Did you? Okay.
it's pretty
Yeah.
it's pretty often.
Yeah. No, I'm certain
That's
of
a
it.
contract that we pay to have in place, or we pay them on a kind of case basis?
I think it's a animal by animal.
Okay.
If you budget 7,500 for it, but it's not, you might not use that all.
Correct.
Right,
Looking
okay.
back, we don't really get, it's been half that. So
Yeah. But yeah, true.
I don't know, and this isn't a direct question to you, but there's many places in the overall town budget where it's like, yeah, that's just an increase. It just exists, like we have to sort of eat it. But there are clearly other places,
Yeah.
nobody wants a budget reduced, but there are clearly places where you could take cuts to offset other things. So that's the dead animal literally caught my line. I was like, we spend $2,500 a year, but budget 7,500. I mean, that's like, that could generate $500 of cut right there. I mean, the past it goes up to 4, but
Yeah.
it's just some of these expenses.
If you go year by year.
I know budgets never seem to decrease, but.
Yeah.
That's a whole other issue.
So this is one that separate of what you're dealing with. This is someone with Amanda that you can.
Yeah,
Bring up.
it's not a direct question to you. It's a town-wide question further.
But Yeah, so ultimately we continue the same contract. And I remember when we switched to this and it was a few years ago and it was, and also I think we dumped it on Board of Health. I don't think it was in Board of Health at the time. I think if I remember correctly,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
I think
Sue
it-
mentioned something. I
Yeah.
think they're kind of doing us almost a favor by
Yeah.
doing it so
Yeah.
cheap, so.
it's appreciated. All right,
What is the vaccine expense line?
That's so the nurse can buy vaccine as needed. There are some vaccines, like I'll give you an example, rabies prophylaxis. If you're not insured, the Board of Health could be required to pay for those vaccines. It is kind of a process. You have to get a lot of shots for rabies. But it's also just so we have a line item where we can go out and buy vaccine. The nurse will do homebound people. She'll run clinics, things like that. We do get reimbursement for certain vaccines, but not necessarily all of them.
Is anything changing because of the Department of Health and Human Services? Any, the redirectives for anything?
I don't know about that. I mean,
You haven't heard anything.
nothing you want to see.
it changed. The vaccine reimbursements have changed since COVID a little bit. Then they were reimbursing for COVID. They're not anymore. So yes, flu, you'll still get a reimbursement, but it's not large. It's a pretty small number. But yeah.
But to that end, this may be something that we need to look at because the federal government's policies are changing. And that may have a downstream impact from a budgetary perspective on us, one way or the other. Well, no, one way or none.
Not gonna get more, but
We're not gonna get more funding.
So like for this flu season, this is the expenses I'm looking at here, there was no expenditure for that.
Well, that's also because we haven't had a nurse for the last 6 months.
And
Almost
are there
6
plans
months.
to replace that position or?
Yeah, I actually just found out today that the new nurse accepted the position, so we should have one on board hopefully in the next month or two.
Oh, good.
It's a tri-town position, isn't it?
Correct.
That's what I think.
And that's, kind of another point. There's been a lot of things in our budget that have been able to get reimbursed because of that PHE grant. That is going away pretty soon, probably within the next 12 to 18 months. They say they may be able to find funding for it down the road, but everything I've heard doesn't sound like they're going to. It was a lot of funds they got because of COVID, and I don't think they're going to be able to keep those going.
So where is the nurse position in here?
it's for 738, it looks like.
Oh, yes, okay.
It looks
So you
like,
have that column.
yeah.
Thank you.
But it's 0 for FY27.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's because it's paid. So we were the host town before,
Oh.
and now we're not. It's Middleton. So she's technically an employee of Middleton, but works for all 3 towns.
Oh, okay.
but where do we get charged? But can we get a charge back? Do you know how?
It's all funded through the grant right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay. The entire position is funded through the grant until that
Correct.
changes.
yep. That may be down the road, but
Mhm.
probably not for another 1 or 2 fiscal years.
Good to know. Put that in the note. Can you, for the omnibus, can you put that in the note just as a, funding is a concern, long-term concern.
When the grant goes away,
Grant funding is a long-term concern.
would that cost still be shared by the 3 communities?
It depends.
If it goes, okay.
Yeah, we may have to look into hiring a part-time nurse or something.
Yeah.
I would like it to stay together, but I'm just being realistic. I don't know if it would or not.
The one that's funded by the grant now, is that part-time?
No, it's a full-time
full-time,
position, but
okay.
it's technically part-time to each town. It's like 13 hours per week.
Right. And how much does the nurse make through the grant? Do you know?
I think it's roughly 85,
Okay.
somewhere around
All
there.
right. That's good just for budgeting.
Well, I
Couple years
was
out.
talking about this and I think, yeah,
I like literally just wrote note to self, COA North Grant. Back in October. I
So the
didn't write my
COA
details.
The COA has, the person who used to be our, like our nurse for the Tri-Town has since left the Tri-Town. We do have her working for the COA through the formula grant. She works very minimally, I want to say 3 to
6
5
hours a week.
yeah, hours a week. And she also does our opioid grant funding and whatnot there. So she does like a total of 6 hours, a little bit of opioid, and then the rest she'll do some nursing for the COA. But that is all grant funded through the formula grant.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on Board of Health?
I think the only other large one is professional services, and that can kind of be, that's essentially for hiring inspectors for the fair, consultants for Title V, et cetera.
So, the thought there was, okay. Year to date, it's been.
And those numbers are kind of weird because we've actually been able to get some of these costs reimbursed from the grant, which will also be going away. So
Okay. That one's run. Okay. Anybody have anything else? All right. Thank you very much.
thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Very good to see you again.
You too.
So, for the introduction. So,
Oh, I know everybody.
yeah, I was
Yep,
gonna,
yeah. I was just here with my tail of woe.
yes, yes. But actually, yeah, because you were here for that.
That was my first
That was
meeting.
the first meeting, so
Yeah.
you got to bring him in.
Yeah.
So then, welcome, you've met everyone, so let's just jump in. What do you got? Where are we? And
So we'll have our standard sort of budget situation where we adhere to the municipal appropriation requirement for libraries, which is 2.5% over the average of the prior 3 years appropriations that we got. So whatever the full budget was, average of that plus 2.5%. Some of the anomalies that you might see in here with salaries are to do with the collective bargaining unit that was created. And so that's 2 years worth of raises in there. Amanda may be able to explain this even better than I can, but there's 2 years reflecting on this year's budget due to, I think, wasn't a signed contract at the time of last year's budget.
so question with that, how does that affect the 2.5%? Because what you now have is you have 1 year where it shows, I know it'll average out, but at some point there's a year in 2 years where the year that we didn't have the raise
Is now included.
is not included, the year that we didn't. So the low point of not having the raise, but the double raise is included.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So from an accounting perspective, what we actually did is we had it in a salary reserve. It wasn't part of the library's budget, I believe.
It came out.
You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna have a year where we're gonna get hit. And 2.5 is gonna be
But that year we were still in compliance with the MAR. So.
that past year.
Mhm.
In 2 years from now, when they look, they'll have the year that we doubled, plus this year, plus next year. The year of zero, where half of this money shouldn't be there, is gonna get averaged into, half of this increase is gonna get averaged into the 3 years. Right? Without the offsetting zero. So we're gonna have a year where 2.5 is gonna look like 2.65 or 2.7 is what it actually would have to go up.
That's great. I mean, that will keep us compliant.
No, yeah. No. What I'm saying is compliance is gonna drive us to whereas we'd be at 2.5. If you added that 14 zero in,
Mhm.
where you didn't have. So for the total on this is, you understand what
I
I'm
hear
saying?
what you're saying,
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
yeah.
there's nothing that says we can't go over, we just can't go under it.
No, but you have it's gonna happen, there's gonna be a year and 2 years where it's artificially, the requirement is inaccurately inflated.
Yeah,
Because you pushed all of your revenue into a later, or expense into a later year.
What I will say is his other budget went down.
Yeah,
So I think that the idea of it was to offset it, and cut some to offset that inflation.
yeah, and the escalation of the budget was kind of curtailed by COVID when the MAR was waived for 2 years. So we weren't escalating ahead of this before, or we're kind of right on target, so there was some savings there. And we've stayed under budget most years too, depending on when non-benefited employees, how much vacation they take,
Yeah.
Unpaid and whatnot. So everything is watched pretty closely, but there's always mechanical issues that come up where, that drive the maintenance items up in sort of unpredictable fashion every year. Sprinkler pipes, elevator compliance, things like that. So there's always a maintenance budget being put off or somehow being fit into the budget. So last year we put the money into the maintenance line while we were waiting for that. That's why you see that number there that ended up coming down. Because there's a laundry list from our vendors of stuff that we need to address in a 27-year-old building. So it's and some of that helps us not come begging for warrant articles every year just for maintenance. So it's been a pretty healthy budget where we come in close, but we don't go over, but we aren't in emergency mode, other than the generator, obviously, which about.
Yeah.
But even still, we're striding towards being on budget as of now. It's hard to say, but we're pretty prudent.
Yeah.
And pretty
agreed.
we're willing to wait for a lot of things.
Do you have the generator in this budget?
No, because it's already been purchased and paid for. So in FY 26.
Okay.
So we're riding on on the maintenance line being over, but hoping that
You can manage.
operating can stay under, which, you may see me again in the spring as we discussed in the summer.
Exactly. Exactly. We do.
But right now we're holding the line, but there's other things that could come up, or with the way this winter's been with snow shoveling and all that. There's just bills that are on their way.
Correct. And we understand that.
Yeah.
And for that, good to see that you're doing what you can do. We appreciate that. Any questions beyond that? So we have the big line items who are, the 3% increase for you, the 7.78% increase, which is 2 years for the children's library line item, right? That's reflective of the 2 years. Is the 4.92 for the head circulation, is that also part of the 2 year? Or is that?
Yeah, so not everyone got a straight percentage. It
Right.
was based by roll, so that's why they're all a little bit different, but they're all 2 years
Yeah.
essentially, other than you and your assistant.
Assistant
The
director.
Tindon Union, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that reflects those similarly there. We scroll down beyond that, a couple of the ups are shocking, electricity and natural gas.
When I go back to salary and wages, Jay.
Yeah.
I had 5 or 6 of these flagged because they were over guideline. There's
Do
no.
you understand that's what they were just talking
Yeah,
about?
my point being, I got 2 points.
Yeah.
One, it would have been very helpful to have the reason in the omnibus. I couldn't figure it out. I said, why are these so high?
So just as a comment
In the
notes,
comment column.
just say 2 years, the fact it's 2 years.
Anything that's over guideline, it'd be very helpful. And anyone else reading it, because this is a public document, anybody reading it would know. My other question, Che, I think you brought it up. Isn't this what the salary reserve fund was for? Why are we getting double whacked in the operating budget? I thought the salary reserve fund.
So the salary reserve fund would pay for it,
Right.
but you still have to now this year show 2 year, that covers the actual cash outlay for that previous year, for the first year. But you didn't show, because you didn't know what the amount was, your salary line is zero. And now you have to add that, what was in the salary reserve in, and add this year's raise in. Right? So if I'm making $100,000 and I get we think salary, town thinks salary reserve is gonna be 3%, they're gonna put 3,000 into salary reserve.
Right.
I get my raise, I get a 3% raise, I get I'm now making 103,000. This coming year, FY 27, my budget still says I had $100,000. FY 27, I
Why
get,
does the budget still say 100?
Because-
Wouldn't the
because it-
3,000 have been transferred in?
because it was signed after that budget was approved.
So it's a timing problem here.
And exactly, and when you're moving the salary reserve, you're moving like it to the expense line, you're not increasing their budget.
Right.
So the budget's still the same as it was when we approved it. And now essentially you're moving that budget money that was in salary reserve last year up to the library lines to allocate.
This is not just a
The
library.
reality, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this happens all too often.
Right.
Right.
So if a contract is
In
signed,
union, yep.
if in this theory, if a contract is signed prior to weren't going to print, let's say if weeks before that, then it would get incorporated in.
Yeah.
But if it's signed after that, then budget's already hardened and solidified, even if you're paying for it, you haven't kicked the actual budget number up. The actual number gets an adjusting entry from the salary reserve line and you get paid. Fun stuff. But it's a good point.
Makes budgeting
Yeah.
more challenging, and it's not just a library, it's the concept in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year was complicated,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we got through it. It was good.
My thought is no retroactive salary increases if the contract's not signed, well,
But you still have to meet them all anyway, so it was
Yeah.
just really where we tried
you
to,
know how to do that.
yeah.
Good.
So that was why it was a little
That's
different.
enough.
Okay. So, other significant increases, decreases, we talked about the reason for the anticipated maintenance and repair. And so to your point, that does counterbalance the salary increase, pretty closely. So that's great. And that covers that, my concern there. Electricity and gas, we mentioned. Network administration, there's a reduction. Nice. We like that. Curious why.
New contract, better contract.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also copier.
Yep, we used to have 2 copiers and we found that we only needed 1. We had 2 that we had under contract and we ended up purchasing 1. So we know how long I have to lease 1.
Great.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody have anything else? Any other questions? In the library? Anything from a capital side that you guys are looking to do this year? Is there anything in the capital? Element?
Yes.
Good.
We're looking to upgrade the library HVAC controls this year. The existing system is primitive and kind of outdated, and it's no longer working well with the Windows updates, for one. And then the hardware itself is kind of old and sort of possibly flagging. And the thermostats are no longer supported either. So this technology is from the late 2000s, maybe 2009 technology. I think it was installed in 2011 or 12. So we've been advised by our energy resource vendor that, we should act on this now before it fails. So we've looked into that and we'd like to upgrade it to the point where we can have monitoring remotely as well. We would get Wi-Fi, thermostats, a new controller, better data collection, better alarming, can go right to my email or phone, kind of like the new generator, more so than show up and know what's already wrong and then log into the computer to try to fix it. So we're just trying to get into the next generation with that and try to get the get it so that I don't have to have IT re-upgrade. Every time Windows upgrades, they have to write a script to bring Java back to us because it blocks us out.
Yeah.
So if I want to control any zone in the thermostat after a Windows update, I have to get them to
Restart you.
reintroduce Java. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
become a bit of a headache. Couple that with the stuff being sort of end of life or out of support. We'd be looking at like 21 new Wi-Fi thermostats, a new controller. It's in the boiler room for all the HVAC units around the building, including the new chiller and the boiler. So this would help us to, control the building, not just while we're there, but remotely, have everything timed out. We can see the temperature of the zones. We know ahead of time. Cold winters like this, we would know if a zone was, going into a danger zone and be able to act on it right away versus show up and find out, if something does happen during a couple of closure days when no one might visit the building. We don't want to come back to anything. So just trying to stay ahead of this. I mean, it's something we could maybe work with for a little bit longer, but it wouldn't be prudent to gamble, I think.
What's the ask in this from a capital to
37,000.
37?
How much?
37,000.
Is there any potential savings involved
Yes.
from energy or maintenance?
Yes, so we'd be able to, program the building when it's unoccupied. We can do that now, but it's a little more primitive, like I said, because we can't monitor. So, we can put it into unoccupied mode but we can monitor the zones if there's temperature changes and then bump up the temperature remotely if we need it. If we thought, wow, it's really cold in that stairwell, we should bump that up or bump it down. We don't need it to be 72 in that room. No one's there. Let's bump it down. Let's save money. So things like that, allowing us to do that versus,
I know it's a hard question. Any idea of the potential?
savings?
Because I think it goes to electricity as well,
Probably.
from the air conditioning.
Yeah. And I think it would be over the life of, if this was to last 15 years or so, like this current system, if we can get it to save us, a couple $1,000s a year, it would be a break even. If we were able to do better than that, we would save money. So it wouldn't, but you factor in the safety of the building and the comfort. So
Electricity and gas is $48,000.
Yeah.
So it's reasonable to think you could save a couple thousand.
Yeah, maybe 5%.
So the payback
Mm-hmm.
would be quite reasonable, is where I was headed with it. Not bad.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, 9 years.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll lose
But
money on this. I don't know how much we'll get. I can't
It's a
promise
hard
that,
question,
but
Yeah.
I don't think, one of the better things is I don't think we'll end up with a catastrophic situation because we couldn't monitor,
if you had a frozen pipe, you could get a real mess.
Well, we would know, we would get an alarm that we had a cold zone, ahead of time, which is something that we just can't get now. Now we can find out maybe what time it happened. But we wouldn't get any alert. So that's kind of the difference between 2009 and now for technology.
Any other questions on the library? So that's the only capital item here.
Yes, we received state earmark for upgrading the front doors. That was slated to be a capital item, but it will not be any
Nice.
longer.
Nice.
So.
What's involved with that?
So trying to make the doors automatic for the library, automated, so push button entry. So we are ADA compliant technically, but it's not, it's not user friendly for those that, have.
So you're just gonna automate them or replace the doors?
Well, we have enough for sure with the earmark to do all the hardware, the locks, and to automate the doors to get in. And it remains to be seen how.
We use the library a lot, like a lot of people, and those doors are very nice.
Yes.
They're in great condition, and they're really high quality commercial doors when they were put in.
The doors themselves have held up well according to the vendors that have come out to look. The hardware obviously after 27 years has had its time. And then to be able to have the doors automated would be huge for folks that don't move as well, or the strollers and all that.
We talked about this too.
When you say automated, you mean like a sensor? They just open when you? or
Like push button,
the
when you
push
go to like
buttons,
a
yeah.
medical building, you push button
Yeah.
and the door will swing open, the two doors.
That's more, yeah, that's even more so for ADA like help
Yeah, so
assistance
if-
too. And I know that there's there's a state agency. It must be the State Office of Disability or something like that. They provide grants for those.
Mhm.
I know that. I can look at that and just let you know.
Yeah.
I did that a couple of years ago for our facility when I was in the town I worked in. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, technically, since we're at ground level, we're still compliant, but we're one bill away from being out of compliance in
Right.
my estimation. So
Right.
not to mention just to be user friendly and ease of use for everybody. I think it's time to move on that.
You got a grant.
Yeah, there's nothing, this is informational.
No,
you
it's
know.
great. No, I'm credit to you for that. It's, what I
Good, that was on the original list.
It was,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
yeah.
great.
Okay, so your only capital request is 37,000 to automate the IVAC system. I'll call it that.
If you please.
Any other questions? Anything the commissioner, your library oversight wants to say or share, other than he's doing a great job and other than that? Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you.
See you. You too. Thanks.
Yeah.
You keep track of the use of the library to see any trends up, down?
Up. Yeah, we've been going up. Yeah, ever since 2021, coming out of COVID or whatever, we've been going up and up.
Right.
It's not as extreme up as it was, but it still creeps up. Yeah.
That conference room, when you first go into the right.
Yeah.
That was originally set up so you could separate it with a fence for the,
Yeah, that's still there. We don't do that very often. During the book sale, we use it, but we don't.
we used to have a lot of meetings in it. It used to be conscom, all sorts.
Tom used to meet in there.
It was a very, very good
Back
room to
before
meet.
we had this.
Yeah.
It was the conference room
You've got the
available.
new building now.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
I said, you've got the new building now.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Library's big, we're there all the time.
COA,
My kids are there every week.
Kathleen, how are you?
So I knew we got the
Wonderful.
generators. I was in the children's room a couple weeks ago. I was looking at it.
No, it really is.
And Morgan's next. They coming in, where?
You take that off?
Wow.
Oh, wait till you see him here.
Glad I'm going first.
That's where we get to geek out. She would start talking.
There you go.
Go ahead,
Well, mine's pretty simple. I'm going up 3% COLA, like everybody else with the salaries. Longevity went up because I am 5 years in, so I am getting longevity in addition to my assistant, who's been getting it for many years. And then just little incremental increases to cover program subscription, just general expense increases. But other than that, I'm pretty flat.
Yeah. Mhm. So the big one is, to get to 58, yeah, so it's a 3% increases in salary, which brings you up. I'm trying to reconcile to 3.22 overall.
I think because of the longevity,
Yeah, makes a little
it just
bit
bumped it up a little more.
Yeah. 400 extra. Anybody have any questions first off there?
Oh, sorry, go ahead, David. Did you want to say something? So,
Yeah, on the expenses, they're small numbers, but again, they're not flagged. If they're over guideline, there's 3 of them I flagged. Your office supplies, travel expenses.
That is not how I was instructed to create the omnibus this year, so that's why there's no notes next to that.
But it's very hard to see what is over guideline. In other words, we have to go through each line. We used to have a separate tab.
I understand that, but when everything can be considered over guideline at this point, because we're at like a base budget. So we're at a base percentage of, it's no longer salaries and then 2% on the other, it's 2.25 on the overall. So I was told to fill it out this way without an over guideline sheet. I think that if that's something you're looking for in future years, that's a good discussion to have with the select board before we submit the omnibus.
Yeah, that over guideline tab was helpful in one respect. It categorized them
Yeah.
into 3 or 4 categories, and some were absolutely mandatory. Others were, nice to have, and you get a perspective. I don't know how we're gonna look through it this year, Jay.
Well, I mean, I think we're gonna look at it line items like this, and we're gonna come back and ask that question. It's like,
Okay.
okay, why did this line item go up by 15%? And the two ways that that gets addressed is either someone fills some of those in ahead of time, or people do, and then we can look at them, or, at the end of the day, if we go down to, this is no way picking on yours, but if it came down to, okay, we look at total council on aging, and went up by 3.22%. If that number was 2.25%, then for the whole group, if something went up and something went down, we'd still look at it, because we're looking to see,
Correct.
as an example, why did maintenance go down by $6,000 for the library? Well, it was because they had front-loaded stuff, and they're showing that they're being fiscally responsible, and they're reducing it because they spent it for something last year. So if we ask about each of those, we're still gonna go through and look. I still go through, and I know you did your analysis, going through and looking at what are the ups, what are the
I'd flag
downs.
it.
Yeah,
I put a yellow box, but
so those are gonna be, I mean, that's where your questions are gonna be on either side of that. Anything then the next set of questions, to your point that we talked about, was, okay, last year this was a certain amount and it didn't get all used. Why is this year the same or less? I mean, same or more? And then those would be our standard questions. They're predictable. So it's either you pre-answer them, or we get asking everyone in the meeting.
how's your new bus?
It's
I
fabulous.
see it all the time in market down.
It's great. Yeah, we're really happy
The
with
color scheme stands out.
it. We tried to keep it to the, oh, you haven't seen it? No?
Oh, you haven't?
Right there. Yeah, right.
Oh, you work, that's why.
No,
It's around
we
10
park it still at
It's around
Spring
10
Street.
in the morning up there in market back.
I'm not a.
I'm the only one that sees it up there.
Yeah.
10 and 1, 10 and 1.
So before I want to hear about that. Is there anything final on the budget before we just ask for general, how's COA going?
I get, just curious, at one point in time, you had a fire extinguisher inspection maintenance budget hasn't been around for a while. Was that just absorbed under like town building maintenance now or something?
Honestly, I don't really, that was before my time. I've
Yeah.
never spent it, so I finally asked to just have it taken out.
Yeah.
I do believe that they came and checked the fire extinguishers, literally, and now we just go with our regular maintenance, we bring
Yeah.
it and get them checked once a year.
Yeah.
It
And
costs us $45, so we
Does-
figured that was a cheaper route to go anyway.
I'm just curious, like if it's all combined, like does every department use the same company to come in and inspect them all? Does every
Yeah.
department do their own thing?
I think it's at a higher, like, we do them all together now.
Yeah, okay.
How much
I mean,
do
that
you
makes
use-
sense.
I'm sorry, Tom,
No, go ahead. I'm good.
that, they use Cruiser? Is that
Yes.
still used?
Oh, frequently. We frequently, so it doesn't make sense for us to take the bus out when we have doctor's appointments, which is always just one
Do you
person.
know how many times it's used and how many people?
I could get the statistics, we keep it, I didn't
would
bring
you?
it with me, but yeah, I can get the
I know that we
statistics.
talked about that last year too.
Yep.
Ideally, that's an area where, plug-in electric might be ideal at some point.
Yeah.
When they
In the
turn in
long
the
term.
Mustang,
Huh?
when they turn in the Mustang, the COA can fight for the
They
COA.
reclassified the Mustang.
Did they?
It's not a frontline cruiser.
Yeah. Yeah.
They.
Yeah, no, I understand.
It's unreliable, doesn't work, so
Well,
that's what Neil said.
It's not an anything. They don't use it.
They don't use it. So.
and, okay. That might be, were you alluding to, that's the second one they're gonna turn in?
Yes.
And they did talk about giving it to us initially, that was gonna be the one we got, but I don't know why it changed.
I think their concern is couple-fold. Electronically, they've had
Issues.
issues. They're very concerned with reliability. They just have a lot of free warranty work, which is over, but, so the thought was to turn it in. We can. That was.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, just COA in general? Before, I do have some, so it's not.
We did talk about, the nurse you have that you're paying for the grant through.
Yes,
I don't know if anyone had any other questions on that.
yeah.
Um,
So we were supposed to get a social worker. I won't go into the whole background of it, but there was a town public health nurse that
Right.
resigned, but we are one of the few towns that doesn't have a social worker or a nurse that works for us, especially the COA. Every COA I know has an outreach and a social worker. So when we didn't have the nurse anymore, I was able to work with Kevin to get Julia Lobel, was the Tri-Town nurse, who's now our community nurse. She's working a total of 5 hours a week. Half an hour of that's being paid by the opioid funding. And I'm paying the rest out of my formula grant, which is normally what I use for programming. And so I don't see that being a long-term thing. So next year I probably will ask for a new position. I did last year, and this kind of accommodated me for a short time. So next year will be an ask for additional hours, probably 19-hour position.
The opioid funds. Any overview on that? How much we have
Julie-
and what we're using it for? I'm looking at
So
Amanda.
yeah,
If we only got
Julia's the one that would really know that. That's the other piece that she does is she manages all that monies and where it's going and makes sure that it's being paid out.
I think we have around 84,
That sounds about
84,000.
right, yeah.
but it's it's like
Versus-
ARPA, but not like ARPA in the way that and there are specific things that you can use it for. There's a committee that goes through and determines what is appropriate, what isn't appropriate for it. They vote to use the funds how they see fit, and Julia kind of leads that whole process and
Right.
does a lot of that for us.
I didn't know what the magnitude of it. I don't know how much money we get.
84,000, I think, is what we have over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And we're only using it for half an hour. And we have
We're
other
using it
uses.
for other programs, so I know that we did a program at the schools for like drug
Sure.
use and.
Yeah,
drug
for
abuse,
educational pieces.
Yeah,
They literally were only able to give you that. It was such a small percent that you could use for people working
Yeah.
as a payroll. And that's why it's only a half an hour.
You can ask the treasurer, we're picking up 3.5%.
Any other things about the budget, about council on aging?
Do you want a little update as far as
We
the,
will.
as you know, the patio is complete. I think all went well. We stayed within our budget with that. We are going to be, and that was all grant paid, nothing out of the town. We are going to be having the Friends of the COA do the electricity. They'll go out to it to the spring. We currently have in the public hall the projector screen that we purchased, also raising funds. And the curtain will be installed and completed by beginning of March.
Excellent.
So we're doing
That
that.
should help the sound dramatically in there.
Yes.
We're hoping.
Yeah.
The other thing they suggested, and we already have some of them, the quilts that we have around will be moved into that room, and that's supposed to give additional sound barrier. And we can hang them without ruining the soundboards.
Yeah, Emerson Center, the big addition in the back, had a real sound problem, and they have sound absorbing panels
Right.
there. So they
We
have some
have
extra.
pianos all throughout here, but what, you know, I'm only telling you what I heard. The way they were installed was flat, and technically a sound panel should have been tipped slightly. So it doesn't completely do its job, but he said it couldn't completely anyway because it's metal roofed. So no matter what, it's going to bounce off. Just what I learned by doing a meeting with all of them. But yeah, so that's my
Is the
updates.
nurse what you were talking about for next year?
Yeah, well, it won't be a nurse position. It would be an outreach position.
Okay.
I couldn't afford to pay, unfortunately, the
Yeah.
nurse for 19 hours. So
Yeah.
it would be an outreach person that would work for the nurse. And I currently have, we're creating a board that's going to work on doing grants for me. I'm the only full-time person in my position. I mean, in my department. And I was trying to get grants and I got a few, but I'm at the point where we're so busy. It's been impossible. So we are forming a small committee to write grants, and that's one of the first grants we're going to work on to help pay for the nurse, so that I can have my budget back through my formula grant for programming and still keep the nurse, and then hopefully get a 19-hour outreach person.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Who'll make up that committee?
Well, they were trying to get a subcommittee out of our board, but you can't do that. There's all kinds of laws. So now they're working on it. One person from my board, one from the Friends of COA, and then they're reaching out to some people outside to pull in. If anybody knows anybody who's interested in grant writing, we're looking for a couple people. Yeah, not complicated.
Anybody have anything else? So outside of budget, outside of this, but part of FinCom, last year we talked about offering outreach for explaining the budgets, managing the going into town meeting. We'll offer that again, and let's, think about whether it's myself or others.
Yeah.
This is an important part of our community that may not have as much access to the information and the experience, and we want to make sure that they have that. So,
And I might add, it's 33% of our town.
Yeah.
So I pulled the numbers. We are seniors, where are we? I lost my numbers. Oh, 2,256 seniors, and the total population of the last poll polled 6,688. So we're over 33% of the population. Oh, I do think it's 60 and older. 60 and older. Yeah. Because technically we serve. Yeah. Yeah, that's big. So it is a good population to hit.
Do you have a sense of how much that's changed over time? Are we at like a peak? It's just steadily marched up?
Yeah, so technically I'm 61 and I'm the end of the baby boomers. So it'll continue to grow until I get there. So our need is growing. Plus we have the 40B coming in, Emerson Homes, which is also going to be so this town in particular will be shooting up.
So
Population.
so March into April, as we settle this,
So I have to submit my March, April newsletter now. So if you want to get it on the newsletter, so
we won't know enough now to be able to put anything in.
So we
but
can just send it out.
Send it
email,
out,
Yeah.
Maybe put in a comment and offer, we're happy, I'm happy, or others are happy to come present and meet. Happy to, when we put together our proposal, because our recommendations, we tend to put together also a kind of some explanations that we put out. And, whatever mechanism to get that out to people is important.
And usually the best time to do that is we do lunch and learn. So you can even look at the calendar. Just saying, food always brings them in.
That's what we.
So
Yeah.
If you want to look at the calendar.
That's not an issue.
Pick one in March and April, late March or first beginning of April.
Yeah.
Pick one and tell me, and we'll make.
How many people on your newsletter?
Oh, we have big numbers on our, so we are, did I write it down? Oh, I should have written it down.
1,000?
We are, for newsletter, no, we're at I order 700 newsletters, and our emails that we send out daily emails, we're also about 600 emails that we send out daily.
Lunch and learn could be in the Great Hall, right?
Be in the Great Hall, and usually we'll probably be during one of our soup. Soup is probably the best one to go
Could be a
to.
very significant number.
It's usually 25 to 30
Yeah,
people that go to
25 or
those.
30 that go.
And then we'll get additional people that will be interested.
They're the people that might not be inclined to come out at night either.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's great.
Yeah. So, we can coordinate some more on that and try and do it. I mean, the goal here is that, FinCom's 99% of what they do with the exception of one account, is to advise and recommend. So we're supposed to be recommending to the community, and if part of our community isn't hearing it because they're not available, we need to offer it where they are.
Yeah, and again, if you want to do, like you did last time, you did a write-up, we'll
Yeah.
send that out to
Yeah,
our email list.
that's great. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening
Thank you. You too.
or night. We're past evening.
Oh, I was gonna show you, I do have to show you one picture. One feel good, because last time you said a feel good thing. So this is my feel good thing. This is Janet Brown. He turned 105 and this was her birthday party.
That's awesome.
So we took her out. So I just thought it can't get better than that.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's amazing. There's your feel good.
Can't wait for you to celebrate ours. Morgan, come on over. How you been?
I'm good. From feel good to insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did just send you over
Okay.
a presentation. Hopefully you can throw it up there so you
Yep.
guys can see it.
Let me stop
kind of-
showing what is up there.
A little more detail for you guys on pensions and insurance.
Okay.
My liaison right there.
Oh, oh, sure. All right.
All right, give me a second to pull it up. Meanwhile, you've met everyone, works, so hopefully you're. There it is, and this one I don't have to worry about. Go clean my computer afterwards and check for any sort of,
That could be such a laugh. Funny.
you knew I was thinking.
I know exactly.
So, you missed it when, Chief Hubby was here. He had a presentation, it was on a thumb drive, and I'm sitting here like, all right, it's you. I'll trust you on this. If I've done
Pulled
it,
that out of his pocket. Like,
Yeah.
oh, God, you're just gonna stick a random thumb drive right in your computer.
yeah. Anyone else? No.
I can't believe you had a thumb drive.
He had to phone the right one.
Oh my God.
Leave to the chief to put some malware into your computer.
Yeah. That was, I was like, yeah, okay. All right, so I'm gonna share now that I have it up.
Yep, so this is a presentation for the insurances and the pension. So I think before we get into that, maybe we go through, the easier part of my budget and then we can focus on that afterwards. It's totally up to you guys, but.
No, I think that makes sense. Share. So actually, I'm gonna stop sharing on that because, well, I didn't look at it. Does it have your regular budget work on it?
It does not. It only
Okay.
has the presentation of the
Okay, so
insurances and pension.
Then I'm gonna share the regular budget. Share the omnibus. That one. There we go. We're back. All right. So where are we going first?
Well, let's start with my department, treasurer collector.
Yeah. All right. So let me pull it over. Computer systems. Let's get that out of my way. Excellent. There we go. All right. So go ahead.
Yep. So you'll see that, just like most departments, our COLA is up 3%. That's the vast majority of the budget. The only line item that's increasing is our postage. You can see from actuals that we've been going over that for last 2 years. So it was 17.9 last year, and that was prior to a 7% increase in postage, which we obviously have no control over. 18.5 is a number I felt comfortable at. I do think that 18.5, it might not be enough to cover all of postage, but hopefully I can absorb it in some of the other line items that I have. We are moving forward with some tax title, and I don't see savings in that line, so it will be tight. I was very tight last year, within $1,000 of my expense budget, so I run a pretty tight ship down there. But I do think that there is money that's needed in the postage. I think it'll be a little too tight if I don't have that, and I don't want to be the department asking for a transfer at the end of the year. It's never a good look. So that's the number I felt comfortable at, and I do think that there's something needed, and when there's a 7% increase in postage year over year, which is a little much to swallow. But we do send out all the bills for the town, all the accounts payable checks, all the 1099s, all the W-2s. That we don't hand out by hand. That's something we've been trying to do to mitigate costs. we're, adding checks, and remits so that are going to similar vendors into one envelope. So we are doing things to try to mitigate that cost. But it's something you can only do so much with. And I do think that that's something that does require a little bit of a bump. It's the only thing. So, if you have any questions, feel free.
So everything else is zero increases on the expense line other than the 7.4 for the 1,200 for that. And then straight 3% on some of the, with the exception of longevity on the salaries across the board. Questions?
Yeah, I flagged the postage too, but with a question if there aren't some more options, and you already addressed the fact that you've looked at a lot of other options.
Yeah.
My first reaction was, can we, aren't there a lot of electronic alternatives? Maybe no.
There
For
are
for
not.
paying,
For paying, yes, we do offer everything under the sun for paying bills online. However, we are required to send out paper bills.
that's what I figured, but I did want to ask the question.
Yeah.
No, for W-2s.
W-2s, I did breach this year. We did have talks about it. It's a savings of approximately $500-600 in total. It's not a lot. So it's something I did bring up because not only if we do electronic delivery of W-2s, that saves, $600-700 in postage, but it also saves a little bit in regards to ordering the tax forms. So we have talked about it. It was a little late in the season this year. And there was some worry that maybe some of the unions would have put up a stink. So we decided to pull the trigger. And it's something we're going to talk about in the future, but it's a little easier said than done. And again, we're talking about maybe $1,000 worth of savings in total, and I don't even think it's that much. So, we are exhausting pretty much all efforts we can to try to mitigate that postage because it is a large number, but we do take care of pretty much most postage in town. There are departments that each have their own little postage amount, and that's for their own individual mailings, but we do take the vast majority of bills and accounts payable checks that are going out the door.
But of the 18.5, how much of that postage would you say is like you're required to do? Like things like tax bills? Like, is it the majority of it?
Oh yeah, by far.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have similar questions. I can tell you what our postage expense at work is. It's zero. We don't do anything.
Yeah.
But I was like, this has to be like a required thing.
Yeah. We send out, what is it? 2,500 times 4. So 10,000 tax bills a year, roughly 8,000 motor vehicle bills a year. So we have
tax bills alone, that's $8,000, right? It's 80 cents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And demand bills at the end of the year too. So that's something that varies, as much if we can get as much collection done as possible. We can send out less demand bills, but again, that's, sending out 100 demand bills versus 80. It's not really a needle mover. So.
Do you allow employees to ask for paper checks, or do you have everybody on ACH?
We do everyone on ACH. It's mandated at this point. We don't do paper checks for payroll, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's direct deposit. So we've eliminated that altogether. We don't even allow people to ask for paper checks anymore. We do issue paper checks on instances of people being let go, because you need to, if you're going to be let go, you get the check as soon as you leave. So we do paper checks in those instances. But all there's their electronic delivery.
Your payroll every 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah.
Any other questions on the standard, just salary, wages, your standard budget? No. All right, we have this other small load of things. Want to flip over to the presentation, or do we have any other questions?
Well, we have debt service. We want to go over
Okay.
that first. It's not on the presentation.
Yeah.
We'll wait on the bottom board.
Yeah.
The rest of these are kind of right next to each other, so it should be a little easier for you.
There we go. All right, debt service. We're there. Oh, I gotta spin over.
Line 895.
Okay, that's good.
So, I mean, this is pretty much, the agreements that we came in for long-term payment agreements with the bonds that we put on the market. There's really not much, not much, there's nothing we can really do here. This is the payment schedule. It is typical for some payments in the middle of their life go up, 10,000 in principal for that year. That's just the payment schedule that was agreed upon when we went out for the borrowing. Obviously interest is going to go down each year because, you pay off the principal. There are some that go up and then other times they go back down. So I'm not sure what FY28 is bringing with us. I don't have that information in front of me, but there's a chance that some of these are decreased back to 180, 175 in some of these cases. So, there may be some savings next year like there was last year. I believe we saved, I think it was a little less than 10,000 last year in the budget season. This year, unfortunately, it flipped the other way. But this is kind of what we're dealt with this year for a big increase in the sense that it's 10,000, but from the overall budget line item, it's not that large. So if you have any questions, Bill.
Yeah, and I mean, for the most part, these are all funded out of the except of the overrides, or not overrides, the debt exclusions.
Yeah, a couple of them are. There are some that are within the levy, I believe, right, Amanda?
Yeah, a handful, small.
Yeah.
It's about 100,000 of the total.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not too much that's outside the levy, but I believe we do absorb most of it within the tax.
Mm-hmm. Anybody have questions?
I assume the answer is no, but I'll ask it anyways. Are any of these prepayable? Is there any advantage to interest rate to pay them on versus the current money market rate we're getting?
Nope, there's a good question. A lot of these rates are favorable to what we could take out long term now. So if we went and tried to bundle these and take out another rate, one, we're paying issuance costs, and two, we wouldn't get as good of a rate. So I'd say there's definitely not an advantage to doing that. As for prepaying them and doing that kind of thing, we do enter an agreement when we do go for bonding. The banks that bid on these bonds are expecting a payout over time, and they kind of model out their side of things based on this stuff.
Non-callable.
Yes, correct.
Or are they non-callable, or is it like explicit in the agreement, or is it?
It's explicit in the agreement. I mean, these are, there's heavy tax advantages to investing in muni bonds.
you
So
get
These are probably big insurance companies buying these, right? For annuities to offset.
just there's a lot of anyone you can imagine has a lot of money. You're going to be investing in these for tax shelters and whatnot. Insurance is trust funds, whatnot.
No taxes on, no federal taxes on the state income, on the earnings.
Oh.
The other side of it, right? Okay. Other questions?
General question.
Yep.
Looking forward beyond this year, do we have a curve or do we know what the payment trend is going to be? Is it going to go back down 10 or 20,000 the year after, or?
I don't think 20,000 is in the cards. Like I said, last year we did see almost a $10,000 savings, and this year it did jump up. I think you're looking at a pretty stable line, whether it be it's definitely not a parabola. It's maybe
not a nice cliff.
Yeah.
I actually have it for me. Next year is going to be almost exactly the same. We'll see 10,000 the year after that, then 20,000 in 4 years. It's going to be pretty.
It's in the
flat.
model, right?
Yeah, I've got the graph of our.
It's not a big.
But the reality is that none of these are
This is principal balance.
old, truly old. I mean,
But the payments are about the same.
our oldest bond that is 12 years old. No, not even.
Well, one fell off last year.
Yeah, no, it's always fine, but 2018 is the last, I think, right? Or 2017. 2017.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose.
So, I mean, we're talking another 10, 11 years before any of these actually mature.
Yeah.
Some of those are 25-year terms.
Oh, yeah.
Most muni bonds are average 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Are they that long?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know.
Typically what the most bids are too. That's usually what the vast majority of the municipal bonds are. So that's kind of what the market looks at for the most.
So when you say muni rates for 5 and 10-year bonds, those are old bonds. Those are reselling.
Yeah,
They post those rates all the time.
yeah. You don't typically see that in Massachusetts municipal world. They're typically 20. You do see some 30, but when you get to 30, the interest rate starts really creeping up there. So
Correct.
people don't usually take the 30s out.
And it's hard to do a 30 because you have to be you can't do a bond that's longer than the duration of the life of the asset.
Right.
You're not supposed to. So, if you do a roof and a roof has a 25-year length, you can't have a bond that's 26 years.
If you had a vehicle that only had a 10-year life,
Or a vehicle that you're doing a 5-year, but that's where, if you're doing it that way, the car.
2017, we have a fire rescue vehicle, 7-year term.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you get all of it. Great.
I made myself my own desk.
Yeah, but we did have one roll off this year. Actually, just made the last payment on that one, so that was good to finally see one roll off after a refunding a number of years ago for a water trust borrowing. So that was good to see.
What's our next big borrowing? I mean,
Right now, there's nothing on the horizon except for some more water borrowing, I believe. With all the PFAS stuff going down the pike,
that's big.
it's
But for the town, besides water, there's nothing on the horizon.
nothing on the horizon for the town.
That's great.
No, and we were lucky because of the fire engine. We normally would have gone up the bond on that 1.1 million.
Mhm.
But we had put aside enough funds to pay for it, so
That's good. Still got the bond for the last one.
Having the groups back in the financial group, which is us there and there, we weren't lucky.
No, we planned it.
We put policies in place.
Absolutely correct, Jay.
And we followed through and there was a positive result.
Right.
I'm not patting my back, I'm saying that it's true.
Collects back.
Yeah, collectively, we're gonna get beaten up as a finance community here a lot and have been about spend and things. These are items where I want people to recognize where we are doing.
Yeah, that would have been a $1.1 million bond would be what, 50,000 a year probably?
Yep.
Interest and principal.
Yeah, again, it
5%.
depends what you take it out for. If it's 1.1 and
Yeah.
you're doing it for a fire truck, the useful life is less, so you might need to do a
So that's
little
an
bit.
interesting
You
number.
might
to
even be
say.
more than,
Yeah,
because, if you've got a 15-year life on a
Right.
mortgage, a bond, you're paying, well, at rates now, you're paying $60,000 a year in just interest. Right, 6% rate.
The previous ladder
Communities
truck
you're gonna
bond
get
that we're
less, so
still
you're gonna be
paying.
4.5.
you got to assume, equal payments and then,
Yeah.
and they can.
Yeah, so it's 45,000 rate right now at 4.5, 4.5 would be 45,000 of a run.
We're paying.
That's before you've been touching principal.
Right,
18-year
exactly.
term.
Yeah.
I don't know what
Okay.
the interest rate is.
You know what Michael said?
No.
We're still paying for the ladder truck. How much? is it?
2017, we're paying 75,000 a year principal and interest on
Yeah.
that bond. Still 18-year term.
It's an 18-year term is what that one is?
Yeah.
Okay, so we
I don't know
come,
what the interest rate is. That's the one that I don't have an interest rate for. Must not have been in Mike's stuff.
okay,
Okay.
that's debt.
Now time for the fun stuff.
Now time for the fun stuff. Then share. Treasure report for insurance premiums. All right, loading now.
I will say, Morgan, I didn't copy you. I did send around to the group this afternoon, a screenshot from the Essex County Retirement Report that showed how they figure out their payments.
This right here?
This group had, I sent that around to the group.
Yeah.
Because this group had questions like, oh, just basically the town's workforce has stayed the same. Why are the pension expenses going up over 7% every year? I was like,
Yeah.
well, I didn't know it either, but I read the report today. It's like, it's designed to go up 6.5% a year.
Right,
That's how
yeah.
they're catching up on the
Yeah.
past underfunding.
Designed based on about 1 million actuarial assumptions.
Yeah.
2.5%.
But
2.5%.
I did send that around to everyone.
Yeah, good.
Good.
I can still answer a few more questions if you guys have them. I've prepared for all that. So if you guys have anything else, I'm happy to answer that too. But let's start with insurance. That's the beginning of this one here. Do you have that?
Yep.
Alrighty. So insurance, it's kind of a nuance how you want to budget for insurance. There are some communities that budget based on budget. There's some that are based on actuals. Last year we did actuals, and 2 years prior to that, it was budget. And at the end, we ended up pulling about 50,000 out of the insurances to, I believe, to lower the amount that we did for an override for the schools, if I'm not mistaken. So there was a bit of a build-up last year to get back to the insurance number that we felt comfortable with. And so this year, what I did was I took head counts of what we have for employees for both town and school. And you can see kind of how I calculated that here. You have the head counts for individual family in the town, individual family in the school. Individual, we pegged at about a $10,000 average cost. Family, about a $27,000 annual cost. Those are right around average, maybe a touch higher, to be a little conservative, but not much, not enough to really move the needle there. So we're looking at around an 8.5% escalator for insurances for 26 to 27. And there's also the tri-town down below the school, which gets added to the school as well. So you see those broken out there. And the total, the column that says total, that's next to rate, that's not necessarily this year's budget line item. It's close, but I calculated it based on current head count within the insurances. So it's very close, but to deal with rounder numbers, I felt it was a little easier for the eyes for you guys. And again, it's pretty darn accurate. And then with the escalator there, you can see for active employees. Next slide is retirees. We split out retirees as well. There are some retirees, both school and town, that are still on the town's health insurance. So as I'm sure you know, after talking last year or in the year before about the large retiree cost increases that we've had, those only apply to the managed blue and the MedX portions of retirement. The individual and the family that some retirees still taking advantage of, those go at the same percentage as the insurances for the town. So those are going up to 8.5% versus the 10 that the managed blue and the MedX are. I just wanted to put that caveat out there.
So question on that, the 9 that are, well, no, 10 and 8 and 8. Sorry, the 18 that are on the town still.
Yeah.
Is that because they haven't reached Medicaid age?
Most, yes.
And that's part of our retirement commitment is that we offer them, they retire before 62 and a half, whenever it is 65. Before 65, we offer them the ability to not offer, we have to offer,
We
they
have
have
to
to
offer that,
offer
yes,
them the
correct.
ability. So these 18 people in essence are people who are under 65.
I would say so, yes. Without kind of getting into that detail, I don't.
Well, if they were over 65, they wouldn't have the opportunity, right?
You would assume so, right? They also don't want to be eating. There's the town's cost is $27,000. The employee pays a third. So a retiree on a fixed income, you can't imagine wants to pay $13,500 a year. So those individuals will fall off eventually. I'm sure.
Are they? I guess what I'm asking is, if they were bad at math and wanted to stay on and not go to Medicare, could they? We
cannot mandate they come off of our insurance. Is that your question? Yeah. We're not able to dictate what people have. Now, policies in the future, we might be able to do that. That's not something I'm comfortable, committing to right now.
Yeah.
I don't know that. But in a
And we-
world of increasing insurance costs, they are aware that the town's health insurances are increasing at a rate that most retirees cannot keep up with. I don't foresee them staying on past 65. In the past, the retirement age was so much lower that people are retiring at upper 50s, and we're required to
run them for 7, 8 years.
right, exactly. So those individuals will fall off, both individual and family. I was looking reluctantly at my retirement, and when I get fully there, I can't retire until I'm 65. So I will be going right on Medicare if I make it that far.
Medicare is there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that.
Oh, you think you have any chance of?
Like they can retire early and we still have to pay for the insurance?
Yes, it's a
What
state
if
mandate.
they go get a job someplace else that offers insurance?
If they take it, then they hop off of ours. But if
But
they
are they required to hop off?
that's not something that we would ever know.
So the commitment is, if you think about it, I'm not arguing right or wrong, but the commitment is you spend your 30 years or 28, depending on what it is, and you get a retirement that takes care of your medical benefits from here on. That's one of the benefits, one of the benefits of right, wrong, and different, right, no value placement, just statement. That's one of the benefits of working.
Didn't know that.
So those are our actual costs, the 10 or the 27,000.
Right.
That's approximately, we have plans that, per family plan, that are north of 31. We have vast majority of plans are within the 25s. That is obviously going to go up next year. On average, I would say 27 is a good number to run with. It's, when we have new employees coming on, we do want to hold 28.
But if they retire until they get to be 65, we pay their full medical
No,
costs?
we pay the 27,000. That's not their full.
That's 2/3
That's
of that.
2/3 of the total.
So that
They're
would be
paying
53rd.
9,000 on top of that.
Correct. That's
The actual cost of
this is the town
$36,000 a year per family.
not the total cost, which is even scarier.
So
Who are these people that are retired and still have family plans? That means they have kids under 26.
yeah,
You'd think,
I know.
or spouse.
Spouse.
Yeah.
We don't have a.
You don't
couple
have any
plan.
plus.
Oh, there's no
yeah.
couple plan.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, God, who are
why
these people?
just that's
Touchy
just why
stuff.
not?
Yeah, but just a
Touchy topic.
husband and
Yeah,
spouse, it should be 20.
there's not the savings you would think would be there in terms of total cost. So, if me and my wife were to go on the same plan, it would be a hell of a savings for us to do a +1 plan. We'd be eating, a lot more money, but for people who have 3, 4 kids, it's a hell of a bargain.
Oh, yeah, well, I can speak from my personal experience where I am now, because in a couple of years that actually becomes one. +1 is only in the one, is a noticeably cheaper plan than a family.
Correct.
So because, if my only option is my wife and I are on, ultimately, if it's just the two of us, we're going to do 2 individuals, hers and mine, if we're both working.
Mm-hmm.
But if only one of us is working, she's got to be on mine. If that was the case, my option, there's a $17,000 or $18,000 equivalent option at my company where it's a +1, and there's still the $30,000 option for a family.
Yeah. So I would say, in a macro level in the insurance world, especially for our health insurances, once you start going down that road, the water has to find its level. So if you start putting a +1 plan, the family plans
Start shooting up in price.
start shooting up, individuals start shooting up as well. So, it's all about kind of where you want to be as an organization. That, that being said, it might provide benefit to one certain demographic of employees within the organization, but at a whole, they're still trying to reach about a 90% run rate for the insurances. So whether you take it
Your
from
loss ratio, you're trying to get a loss
rob
ratio
Peter to
down.
pay Paul kind of thing. So it's, it's again, it's in benefit to one demographic of employees, but not the vast majority.
Do the employees understand the cost of benefits that we pay for them?
Now more than ever, because of the cost that's going up, they're also seeing an 18% increase on their
You
insurances.
look at this plus pensions and I don't know what other, there's some other,
Yeah, so there's a term in industry we use, which is total comp.
right.
And that's what's announced. It's, you talk salary and everyone talks salary and you go, well, let me show you what your total comp is. It's 34% of what increase over your salary is. On average, it's between 20, at least my experience has been with companies I've been with, it's between 27 and 35%. That includes vacation time and all that.
That was an old number I used to use, and I
Yeah.
sent around the recent number. Or
Much
for
more.
fire and police where there's
Oh, yeah.
additional
Yeah.
risk, it's
Yeah.
50 to 70% add-on.
Because of the,
The insurance and
Insurance
the
and,
comp and early
like-
retirement
Yeah.
and that.
but, yeah, so total comp, that's
I
the
don't know what
question,
the answer is.
is that communicated to the employees at all? Is it total comp number? Total cost of, I mean,
I would say not at like a detailed level. It's a lot of the times it's lost in the insurance number, right?
Mhm.
The employees see a 3%, past few years, 2% and a 3%, on average COLA increase. But when your insurances are going up 18%, you don't really think about the positives and the total comp. You're looking at, oh my God, my insurance just jumped $150 a pay period, where you're not even bringing home that much.
Yeah.
So
yeah, where you're.
you can only, right. You can only
Well,
use some.
way more than COLA.
But
It's
you're told
dollar-
a higher number.
The dollar amount.
The dollar amount is greater than your dollar amount.
It's effectively not getting a raise.
Yeah.
That's been a
Yeah.
big problem.
Yeah.
So
That's what happened to Social Security.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
It went down.
Yeah.
so, okay. So that's the thing for everyone taking off this side, what you're seeing there and those numbers for individual and family is the town's 2/3 share of the total cost that the insurance is, medical and insurance is.
So the employee pays 1/3.
Correct.
So for a family plan, nominally, the employee pays $1,000 a month,
A little more.
a little more.
A little more.
$9,000
$13,500 a year for a family.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Sorry,
Yeah. So it's
40 grand a year,
yeah.
40 grand a year.
So just another.
I don't understand.
So just think about this, that's $20 an hour
It's just-
on an average 40-hour week.
Right.
Oh, it's not true here. There's an article in the Wall Street Journal about other parts of the country where health insurance is more than people's mortgage a month.
Yeah. But
It's
that's, yeah,
crazy.
but think about that. On a given employee, $20 an hour of comp is paid to them in health insurance comp.
What it does is companies don't want to hire people. It's just too expensive.
Yeah.
It
So
doesn't help the whole country.
yeah.
Well,
So I guess in looking at the final numbers in the increase, just in a macro level for our insurance, they did vote down GLP-1s. So the increase, we were told to hold 16, which is obviously higher than the guidelines that we had. That's not the case anymore. They were voted down. The increase is still fairly high because there was a cut to Medicare reimbursement. All the hospitals around, are not being reimbursed as much for their largest demographic in terms of care. So they're now recouping money by their contracts are now up with all of the insurance companies. So they're renegotiating their insurances for all that. So, that's a political policy that is kind of not working in our favor. Insurances are going up because they're not being paid as the health care providers are not being paid as much by the government. So now it's coming down on us to kind of take the brunt of that. So that's where the majority of our increase is still coming from. Insurance companies were bleeding for quite some time because of the GLP-1s, and now that it's voted off, they're one, have to recoup the money that they were bleeding to reach a certain reserve level, and two, with these contracts coming up and renegotiations going on, we could see this increase for the next couple of years. I would think.
So I struggle with that statement, because if you take a total, we have a total of 111 participants in the active, and then another 72, so another 120, 30. So we are at 300, we're under three, we're
230-ish.
230, thank you. My math is starting to fail me. I'm getting tired. 230 people that, well, no, 230 entities. It could be more because a family could be multiple. But even at $1,000 a month, which is the high end of what a GLP is getting, and insurance is getting tagged for, is tagging someone for, even at $1,000 a month, 230 people at $1,000, what these numbers are showing for total increase last year was almost $800,000. I'm sorry. No, between the last couple of years, it's almost $800,000 in insurance increases. At $12,000 a year, or $30,000 for 3 years, let's call it the last 3 years, you're talking about 15, 20 people that are taking GLP-1s. If that's the justification they're using for why the number has gone up.
So we were told that GLP-1s were going at a parabolic rate when they first came out. We're talking, $10,000 a year, jumped up to 40.
No, it's $1,000 a month is what they're charging the insurance.
Well, I'm speaking in terms of Topsfield as a whole.
Oh, as a whole. Okay, to 40.
So it was and it was north of 200,000 in the past year. So the way they were looking at it was it's going to be over $1 million in a year or two. So we have to be at the 90% run rate. So it's
yeah, but they have to. You're not supposed to forward future look that much. So they can use their past ones, but they can't. Because you're evaluating your loss ratio based on your experience,
correct,
not based on what you predict.
Right, but if in the past you are losing money, you have to reach a certain level of reserves.
Yeah, but they've gone up. If they went from 10 to 40, call it to 200. That's $250,000. They've gone up by $800,000 in that same period of time.
Right, and I don't want to. Yeah, the whole brunt of it on the GLP-1s, right? There's the other side of things that I just explained in terms of cost of
everything, of other services.
So I just wanted to put that out there as we're looking at hopefully a 8.5% increase rather than 16 that we were holding. So,
but I guess understood. But what I'm reacting to is a statement that they're saying that because they have to fill a hole from the GLP-1 payments they've had, there's no hole. There's $800,000 in increase and $250,000 in spend so far. So where's the hole that says that's going to cause 8.5 to continue to be 8.5 in subsequent years?
Right.
I get what you're saying.
No, I understand.
And we have the disadvantage of having to try and do this off of inaccurate numbers because, and I disagree with this statement, they're saying, well, we have to protect people's privacy. Where if it's at $200,000, we have enough people that you've protected their privacy by just telling us the number of people.
Right.
You should be able to know the number of people. Whether we need to know, that's a different thing. But you should be able to know the number of people that are taking GLP-1s. If were last year and the year before, if you're at $200,000+ then you're talking 18 to 20 people, right? And we should know you should be able to know that number of how many actually are so that we could then reconcile $800,000 of increases when we keep hearing GLP-1, it just doesn't add up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree 100%.
So I can't wait till the insurance guys come in
Yeah.
and ask me.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
After this, when GLP-1s go generic, is health insurance gonna go down in cost?
Yeah.
That was a
Because
question Kevin and I had
No,
for
we've had
Larry.
expensive drugs before, and
Yeah.
they're just talking point scapegoats.
I mean, specialty drugs are never gonna go down. That's something that's gonna be a continued cost driver. Again, the cost of services are gonna keep going up, specialty drugs. You know, if GLP-1s turn into the next Claritin, you know, that should effectively bring down insurance costs. But we'll see, you say, well, why is it going up because of this? It shouldn't. Then they have another answer for why it's going up.
There's always a talking point.
There's always, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating. Kevin and I have breached this conversation with Larry, our Maya rep, and
And Larry's not the one that's gonna be able to answer it.
exactly,
But
yeah,
at the end of the day, Larry's the account rep.
right.
You know,
And
Larry gets a certain amount of information, and I'm just very respectful of Larry, but he's not an actuary.
Right.
He's not a medical provider, doing any of the medical analysis and the cost analysis. So
I will say that we do have a favorable run rate this year, so that will hopefully bring, it will level the ship a little bit. We've been over 90% the 2 years prior. This year we're below 90. So hopefully that's favorable for us.
substantially or just minorly below?
Around 85. They look for the 90% threshold. So, we'll be below that, and that's contributed to our increase in the past couple of years. But, the Maya Trust is a unit as a whole. It's not like we're individualized when it comes to,
But you can see our loss experience.
Correct. We can see our loss ratio.
Your loss ratio
Right.
experience explicitly. So, okay. All right.
So this is what we're looking at for the total for both of those. We have the increase for health insurance. We have the increase for retirees, and then we do have as a buffer, because that what I presented is a snapshot in time, right? We do have ebbs and flows. $10,000-$20,000 per month between town and school. At the beginning of the year when the school was fully staffed, they were spending about $50,000 a month more than the town. And at one point in time, it was only $10,000. They do have layoffs, and there are people that leave. We're understaffed here and there. So again, it is a snapshot in time. So what we have here in the budget for FY27 actually has four plans built in. 2 families and 2 individuals. That's something that's a very common practice for the municipal side, to provide that little bit of buffer. So that's why you see the 12.5% and 12.35% increase versus what is actually on the rate increase for the presumptions.
So that will be the next version of the omnibus.
Yeah, this is not
Correct.
on the US.
Yeah.
So the omnibus, despite the 8 and whatever, will show a 12.5 and a 12.35 because we're net added from last year's budget. We went up by 4 families.
Essentially, yes. I mean, last year what I did was a little bit different than this. I did it based on actuals and averaging out the actuals. This time around, to make it a little easier for you to understand, because I did do that on the side as well. A whole bunch more calculations every month, retirees broken out a lot more than this. It came out to roughly the same exact thing. So I did try to come to these numbers in different ways and got to the same numbers with the added increase of just adding 1-2 positions for each to get to this. It's a buffer that I think Kevin and the select board also want to put forth. And I think it's a very prudent decision to do, just in case, we are fully staffed for an entire year and we are looking at a very too close for comfort insurance number. And I mean, this past year, after we did give some back, we did have to transfer money into insurances at the end of the year. It's not something that I think there's an appetite for.
So so in FY 26, you came up to the budget numbers not based on doing a +2 and +2. You came at them differently.
based on actuals. And essentially it was the same thing. And we didn't necessarily call out the +1, +2. There was a small buffer in there. We are running at a favorable annualized cost this year. We are looking at being about $50,000 under budget, which is great. That is because we did have short staff this year, and we'd probably be right on par. And it's just
Understood. So that's we did about 7 or 8 years ago, prior to most of you being, actually all of you being except for Mr. Camp. We did, because we had budgeted budget to budget rather than actual to budget. We were seeing a growth in budget compared to actuals. And so this is why I'm asking the question and understanding it. Because and that's okay up to a point, and then at some point you have to rationalize that. So so what I remember was we had a year, it's probably 2016, I think. I'm trying to place where my daughter was and where. But I think it was around 2016 where we had a year, or 17, where we had a year where we finally said, whoa, the difference between these two has become too much. And it's time to throttle back the budget. And ideally, what I'd like to see is that instead of doing this, that we keep it like this.
So that's what we're trying to do with doing it like this, and then doing it by actuals versus the budget. Because budgeting off a budget is super easy. Just add 11%, and that's what we obviously had in the first omnibus to comply with the guidelines. But I think that doing that is a much more prudent way of going about budgeting for something that seems unbudgetable, if that makes
Understood, except for we're now over guideline. Whereas before we weren't. So when I heard the 8.5, and this is not on you.
Nope, I understand.
When we heard the 8.5, it's like, oh, good, we do have a little bit. I would say it's the opposite. If we go with this and this assumption from a budget perspective, it's another line item where we're over. And that's becomes part of the story and the numbers for the override.
Yeah.
That we're expecting that they're doing. Okay. Thanks.
Of course.
Anything else on pension, on insurance? Specifically on health insurance. I mean, the other ones are. All right, pensions. And some of you may have seen, as we do this, Michael's note earlier today, and looking at it. So we can get into some of the explanation he added to that, but I think you're probably going to say the same thing.
Yep.
So go ahead.
So in order to show, the budget at a much cleaner picture, a number of years ago it was determined that we break up both insurances and pensions for town and school to make things a little more transparent. When it first came about, it was broken up based on number of employees. Based on actual dollars, it does not provide the most accurate picture on school versus town. School may have, this year, it's not the case. The town actually has a little bit more based on people working throughout the year and whatnot, but it's the first year in a number of years that we've had more for pensionable earnings. But the actual pensionable earnings for the town is about 75%, where the school is only 25%. When the FTEs are around the same. That's because the majority of teachers are obviously on mass teachers retirement, and the rest are part of Essex Regional. But for the Tri-Town, we do only pay a third for them, and the rest aren't obviously super high earners that are on this. So to more accurately represent budgetarily and actual expenditures wise on here, I did adjust the level funded amount for the current level funded amount for the next year, and then the increases proportionate to the actual pensionable earnings percentage. So it is adjusted. It doesn't look like this on the omnibus, but I'm surely will be on level 2.
So in other words, to play this back, make sure I understand it. Right now, there's 66 employees out of the school and 70 employees in the town that their earnings, assuming they stay for the sufficient time, they are entitled to a pension of some sort.
Correct.
Based on their earnings and the number of years of service. However, in many of those cases for the school employees, you're including some of the roles that are less salary, whether that's because they're an aide that is still making $20 an hour or so or less, or something in that, or around that, or maybe a little more now. Or it could be the person working in or not food, because food is outsourced totally, but the janitor or whatnot. And couple that with a lot of those aid positions are paid for 10 months, 9.5 months.
And those are usually paid out of when you're not a salary employee, you actually pay into the part-time retirement. It's not even included in Essex Regional at all.
Okay.
So,
okay, so some of those 66 employees aren't even paying into
correct.
this retirement.
Yeah,
a substantial number. Okay.
And again, the Tri-Town does make up some of these as well. But Boxford, Middleton, and Topsfield all share those costs. So that does, cut their pensionable earnings into a third for what we recognize for the town, what we report to the retirement board. So that's, we may be equal in terms of number of employees, but actual money spent for total pensionable earnings is not as equal. So in order to accurately report that, we adjust the budget here and the increase as well.
And so the employees, when you say the employees, so say a teacher's aide that's part-time, where is that tracked, committed to, paid, funded? Is that somewhere else? I mean, I don't remember.
It's all self-funded, so they're mandated to put money into retirement. But the town faces no obligation for that. It's all self-funded.
Okay.
The difference, basically, it's the same number of employees between the school and the town.
Yeah.
But the town is 3 times more in terms of the pension costs.
Correct.
Is that due to the relative difference in income? Threefold?
It's I would say partly, but I would not say that's the vast majority. I would say it's more because of the Tri-Town. Most of the teachers are in teachers' retirement. The people that are on here through the Tri-Town are split into a third. So a third of their pensionable earnings we pay and we recognize.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
and that does the Tri-Town, but then correct me, right, the 66 employees includes the part-time employees that aren't.
It does. I don't think it includes part-time. It includes full-time employees.
So if we look at full-time equivalent, it should be 22, not 66.
I think we should check this, because in total across the entire employee base for the school district, Topsfield, exclude the Tri-Town. Tri-Town is only 10 people, 10 or 12 people.
Yeah, not much.
The entire school district, including the teachers, is 115, I think, or 120. I can't remember the number right now, but
and a good amount of those are aides that don't.
Well, no, that's inclusive of the teachers as well.
Right.
So you take the 7 times 3, 21, the 30 teachers out of that.
Bus drivers, teachers.
Bus drivers,
yeah.
And then you start looking at bus drivers, everyone else. Okay, all right, maybe
It is based on pensionable earnings.
Okay.
So if you're pensionable, you're included in this. If you're not pensionable, you're not included in it.
Okay, all right. Wow, I didn't realize there were 66. More people are non-teacher than teachers in the school by 2x.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah. It does. There are about 30 teachers. Okay, 21, so K through 6, 7 years, and there are 3 or 4 per group, so 28. Now, there's probably some doubled up classes, and I guess no, because they're also classifying any of the special ed teachers. So we're up another 4. Okay, so half the teachers, half of the employees are not teachers. What I'm coming to. We gotta get I'd like to see those numbers.
Yeah, do you have some of that detail on how you came up with these numbers?
How we come up with these numbers? Yes, it's what we have to send to Essex Regional, and we get the appropriation based on this stuff and how much we have to pay, and then we send a report to the school for their end of year report that they need to send to DESI. So yeah, we do have pretty accurate numbers in terms of just running payrolls and actual employees' wages that are pensionable. Again, whether that be mass teachers or that be Essex Regional.
Okay. Looking over here is a number we probably want to talk to elementary schools just so we can reconcile back and forth and really understand that piece on their side, the total head count, the total employee count, and that, and dig into this. I figured, yeah. Yeah.
Morgan, a question on what Michael sent around.
Yep.
The unfunded liability.
Yep.
I assume that's a total unfunded actuarial liability.
Correct.
When we have a roaring stock market investment, like we had the last 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
Does that reduce the amount of unfunded liability? Because they're using an average of 7%.
Correct.
So if we're getting 12,
Mm-hmm.
does that reduce it more?
It does, based on probably not as much as you would like it to, because the amortization chart and the actual area goes out 10 plus years. So you have 1 year that, especially early on, it helps a lot more than if you get 12% in 2036 when it's the last year. So when they do have the next actuarial evaluation and audit, we might see a slight decrease in the future funding. But I think 7% in itself is something that they're pretty comfortable with averaging for a while. So whether something go up 12, it might only be going up 2 the next year. So I don't think that they change it too much.
So there's 2 pieces, right? There's what's the assets you have, and there's what's your expectation on the growth.
Right.
Just because we had a 13%, they're not going to change their assumption model, which is 7% annualized.
Right.
But what changes is your assets value.
Correct.
Changes. Ultimately, and even a 13% increase or 20% increase over 2 years, when you have a 30-year mortgage, think about it. If you doubled your payments on your house for 2 years, in essence, because you got that much more. It helps out, but it doesn't help out. It doesn't help out till the far end. Suddenly that doubled payments for 2 years means, years 27, 28, 29, 30 don't exist. You paid it off in 26 years. But it doesn't change the assumptions.
Right.
Exactly. My understanding is this is mandated by law.
It's mandated by, they need to reach a certain level of funding, and they are required to match their funding schedule in order to comply with their laws.
Dated as fully.
Right. So their funding schedule is obviously going to 2036. Right now, they're 64% funded, which is about average in the state. There are very wealthy towns, like the one I used to be a part of in Wellesley, that put a little more towards it. They're about 80% funded, maybe even more. And then there are some retirement boards that are a little behind schedule, and they're about 50% funded. But there's obviously a huge push to get this funded, and they have ours laid out, and they're on schedule for where they want to be, and they're about average in the state. I'd say we're in a pretty good position for the retirement board as a whole right now. They're finally fully staffed, and they seem to have a good head on their shoulders. I've been to all the meetings. I continue to go to all the meetings. I'm only one of about 5 people that go out of the 30 plus organizations that are in there, which is kind of scary because we usually don't have a quorum. But I would say they're in a pretty good shape. They're budgetarily, responsible and that doesn't really move the needle all that much. If they have a 10-15% increase, they're paying out $55 million a year in retirement benefits. Their investment income is roughly the same, and everything that we pay into it all goes to the unfunded liability.
Well, I think they had built in an increase of 6.5% a year. Was that what I read?
Yeah, on that table, that's sort of how they're designing it.
The actual determined contribution is 6.5% usually per year, in addition
And
to
that would be
prior years.
adjusted for the number of eligible employees.
Yeah, based on all their assumptions, considering a 2.5% increase in payroll, I think there's a 0.15% increase in life expectancy. So there's a whole bunch of science that goes into
So the
it.
bottom line is, we can expect an average of 6.5% increase in the pension contribution every year. We don't
Until the last year, there's a decrease, a slight decrease.
Yeah, it jumps down to 4 at some point.
Yes, it does jump down to 4, and I think 5 years.
2032.
Yeah.
2032.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's it.
Quicker than you think.
I know.
It's nice to see that table. The end is in sight.
Yeah,
At the end of this, our contribution drops 82%.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. A very, very dim light at the end of the tunnel.
Or as Kay said, it's only bright for a moment, then we start working on OPEB.
Well, we flip it over to OPEB, but the rate at which we are funding OPEB now and where that brings us to in that time, we'll pay that off pretty quickly. Unless something changes in the actual table. I mean, in the span of 5 years or so, we'll pay it off. So by 2040.
Which seems like a long way away, but those are huge expenses.
They're huge expenses, and you know what? It's like what's his name say? Napoleon. This road should have trees. It's for shade for my soldiers. Sir, it's going to take 10 years for them to grow. Well, you should have started 10 years ago. You better do them today. We don't have a choice. Otherwise, it's anyway.
Jay, you'll send that so that I can post that as well.
Yeah, I'll send. So I got 3 things well, you have Michael's note. We didn't share that, but we should put it in there as well. And so actually, this would be another one that would be really valuable to understand. And we could get to the number. Based on the total, so we have 66 and 70. So we have 136 employees.
$2 million.
$10,300,000 is the normal cost. Let me just throw this.
This is for the whole pension for landlord,
Okay.
not just Topsfield.
That's it. Oh.
But there are pages in the report that have Topsfield's.
So what I'm curious is that
it's 3.5% of that.
back to the total cost of ownership or total TCO, total
Cost of benefit.
Cost of employment?
total compensation, total comp, back to getting to that number of what an employee actually costs us.
Right.
Trying to get what is the pension, what is the OPEB expense annualized that we have to cover. We already, to go along with insurance, you hit those big 3. And that gives us, when someone comes and says, I want a new employee, what's the percentage above the salary that we're saying we need, that employee is going to cost us? Right? Because right now what's happening is that when the ask comes for the employee, and we talked about this before, we get the salary line.
Right.
So
I advocate for at least $30,000 for every employee that's added. That's something that, I think is at least in the ballpark of what it might cost per employee per year. Because, we, as employees, we do still put into retirement. And we do pay our insurance, and that usually averages out to a little over 26,000 a year. It would be interesting to see where the pension number comes out to and what, per employee, that is added. I advocate for 30 at least to be fully transparent on this is what it costs on top of the salary.
Yeah, the pension cost is variable depending on the salary. The health insurance is fixed,
Fixed, right,
so they're kind of two different numbers, so.
Yep.
I would think you almost have to pick an average salary and say, okay, we'll use that for the pension.
or you do a two-part, which is you just, this salary is this plus
Yeah.
this percentage of 27,000, because the likelihood of you achieve, if you're gonna cost account it, you're gonna do you have 30% chance of it being a 27,000, 50% chance of it being 10,000, the town costs for the insurance, and 20% that it's zero because they don't take our insurance. Those numbers are wrong, I know, but materially, and you could calculate that out.
And we may be able to come to that a little easier because we do have a calculation we do for Greg every year for the indirect costs, and we do break all this stuff out.
But that's based on the actuals for that employee.
Right.
What we're trying to say is if you bring on an employee, I don't know yet whether you're gonna take insurance, so I have to model
I see.
percentage of the variable across the three.
If they were to take all benefits, right?
Or just say, well, the likelihood is 80% take, or 60% take family, 20% take this, so 60 times 27 plus 20 times 10, and put them together, and this is whatever those numbers are, and say, okay, this is what the mean is for that.
Yeah, we do have our actuarial evaluation for our OPEB coming up this year. Maybe I'll ask them to bundle that number in there and see if they can come up with a good figure for us.
Okay. Health insurance, pension, no OPEB, and that's right. All right, anything else for our esteemed treasurer?
I had a general question, if I could.
Absolutely, I'm sure it involves interest.
Yeah, it does. Cash, if I understand, and I know it varies.
Yeah.
But if we took a snapshot, maybe the end of the year, the cash the town has is about 6 million. How much of that is, reserved for capital, for other things, and how much is, I don't know what you call it,
General
working capital?
So that the number obviously varies throughout the year because we do have humongous payments that we make to Masco. That's a $2.5 million payment quarterly. So that does vary quite a large amount. Our undesignated fund balance might be the best number we have for that. Would I be wrong in assuming that, or possibly end of year? Yeah. So that might be the best number that we have. Which I'm not sure off the top of my head what that number is, but
4.1 per fiscal year 2025.
Yeah, something.
4 million.
So on average, it might be around that.
That's undesignated?
Undesignated.
Yeah, on average, it's probably around 3.
Yeah, 3
Would it
something.
be fair to call our working capital? What is that?
I'd say so.
What? Yeah.
And like a non-municipal
Yeah.
financial
It'd
statement.
be very interesting to see that over time, over the course of the year. The reason I'm asking the question is we're making an accounting change that'll free up maybe $700,000.
Already freed up.
What?
Already freed up.
Yeah, I would say she was like a kind of like, what do you call it, a 1 year kind of
Yes.
thing? Yeah. So I wouldn't say that since it was changed 1 year, you saw that increase.
But if we spend it, is my point.
It's gone.
What do you mean it's gone?
If we spend it on
It's gone.
capital, it's gone. It's a one-time.
And I've voiced my concern at other meetings, up to
Yeah.
400,000 is actual additional revenues we got. The timing issue.
Yes, so they made a
705 is not additional revenues. It's just freeing up for spending cash, but it's not additional revenue. So we would
But
be spending, if we spent that, we'd be spending down.
Same with the 405.
the 4 or 5 is one time too, because it's a one-time plus.
It
to
isn't
the
one
year.
time, but it's actual cash coming in.
Yes, it's real cash.
Right, where the 705 is
It's
not.
non-cash.
It's
Well-
an accounting change.
So to be clear, I mean, it is money, but what happened is it went from being restricted, using inappropriate terms here because it's a loaded thing, went from a restricted category that wasn't accessible to us to being unrestricted and allowing us to utilize it. It was there. It's always been there, just like, unlike the 400,000, which came in, the 700,000 was there.
That's correct.
But, it was always in a locked away because of how we assumed and tracked made the assumptions we made in the budgets that we were managing.
I view them very differently.
Yeah, then that's great. I'm just trying to say that
No, I understand.
the money existed and does exist, the actual it's just, it can be recognized once and it's been recognized now. It's not gonna happen again. What are we gonna do with it?
That's the question. What are we gonna do with it?
Okay. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? No? Great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Morgan.
All right, it is 9:00. We have a couple of things to do, starting with quickly a meeting minutes. Sorry, I was trying to get the email to you and I didn't get it, so I'll do it afterwards. I don't want everyone to. So I'm pulling up.
Was Amanda's budget on the agenda for
Yes.
tonight, or do we wanna?
We're gonna do hers. It's 9:00.
Yeah,
We're gonna
yeah.
do yours. We're gonna find your budget. You were gonna be a good point. We were gonna do your budget as well, but it's
Yeah.
9:00 and I
Yeah,
want
it's
us.
fine.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yeah, I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do yours quickly at another date,
Mm-hmm.
but I'd
Be
rather,
here all day.
Yeah, we know Amanda's always here.
yeah. So, meeting minutes, everyone has seen them. They've been out as usual, shockingly. Heidi did the same amazing job she always does. But I went through the approvals, just checking one thing.
The only thing is I constantly have, is it Maya, is M-I-A?
I was gonna say that, yeah, it's MIIA, not MA, yeah, what I mean, yeah.
The other one
That's
is
the only thing.
athletic.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I saw with the Maya thing, yeah, but otherwise, awesome.
So one minor thing on it, from my side as well, which is, for participants, for FinCom members, document who's not in, so in this case, Mike wasn't here, so we should document appropriately for members, whether you're here or not. You say it in the meeting minutes, but in the attendees,
Mhm.
it doesn't actually say it, and it's just a good practice, track that. Any other questions, comments?
No.
I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended,
Second.
for the January
23rd.
January 26, 2026 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 6-0. Done.
5-0.
6.
Oh,
26, yeah.
We're 7. We're 7.
Yeah.
We're normally 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is us just getting ready for late March. This is a stretch to remind your muscles and remind you what's coming. All right, so that's there. The only other thing I wanted to do was just go over the the calendar, just so we're all clear for next week. And the coming weeks. I actually want to do it for the coming weeks as well, because I want to, this week when I find some time, when I find some time, I'm hoping it's going to let me, something's going on here. Uh-oh. Load, that's for my password. Maybe Chief Hovey did actually do something.
While we're waiting, Amanda, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You sent around the cherry sheet.
Yes,
I guess those are estimates.
yes.
And how do those compare to what we were planning on? Are they?
They were a little higher.
A little higher?
I wanted to say like maybe $6,000-7,000 higher.
Oh, okay, so
Not big money, but it was like a $38,000 increase from last year.
I have another question. On the board docs, at one of the select board meetings, there was a very, very nice table of utilities,
Mhm,
electricity, gas, and water.
mhm.
Are some of those changes gonna be incorporated into the next omnibus?
A really good question, and I'm sure it's something they're discussing down there right now.
The reason I ask is you did a very good job on that one, particularly on fire. The original omnibus just took last year's without consideration of the new heating system.
Mhm.
So they increased the gas significantly, whereas the gas should have gone down, and you caught in your work.
Mhm.
So that was the reason I was looking at it.
There's definitely inconsistencies in
Oh, yeah.
utilities. Some departments are going up, some are going down.
Sure.
You think there would be a universal trend?
Okay,
Well, that's
so
what the work, it was very nice.
we have, next week, we have the elementary schools scheduled, the DPW and fire. Okay, it's gonna be another longer session. I think with those three, it's probably 2 hours plus right there between those three groups. Maybe a little less if we can, but we'll probably not. We'll see.
Will we have elementary materials to review before then?
Yeah, right. Eli?
They should be,
They were saying,
ClearGov site is updated live.
yeah,
Yeah, but they might want to just present something more concise
Okay.
for us. And do you have the link to the Clear Glove, or do you want me to send that around?
If you could send that, that'd be awesome.
Sure.
yeah. Then the following week, we have zoning. No, 2 weeks after that, there is no meeting on Monday, the 16th. It's President's Day. The 23rd, we have zoning, planning. And then start reviewing, this is when we're gonna review the warrant articles.
Can you let me know when you'd like, planning to be here? 6,
Zoning and planning, 6 o'clock.
6,
Let's
But
do,
elementary's going first because.
oh, no, they're the week before.
Oh, sorry.
This is for the 26th. Elementary is at 6 p.m. and then we'll do DPW or fire. I don't care. I was thinking since Chief lives right over here and DPW doesn't, that would go that order, but I don't care. It's just trying to, he is
So confirm they should come at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. for both zoning and planning. We can do them in whatever order. They're kind of
Martha does most of the talk.
yes, across it. But, and we're gonna review the warrant articles. Then March 2nd is when we have the final of the elementary schools, hopefully. And we've got to figure out Masco, getting Masco in. Masco is committed to getting us, as I've heard lately, as committed as they can be to getting us
The 11th.
the 16th, getting up by the 11th, so that the 16th we have a completed budget. We should meet, and we need to meet with and review more about their budget. I'd like to know where they're at. I'm still,
We're gonna see them on the floor.
and go from there. But hopefully they'll have something for us rather than just a discussion, whether it's at that meeting or please pass along, or just after it, just to what's their actual status of their budget.
On the 9th,
Yes,
the order, because Gary lives, New Hampshire, so
elementary school, DPW, fire.
that order.
Elementary school, because they have a meeting themselves at 7.
Got it.
So,
So I'll
Yeah.
tell Gary.
yeah, and that's why I was saying earlier,
Yep.
Gary, DPW, and a reminder that these three today, and thank you, today, well, it's actually last week as well, but we're remote. Today, the 9th and the 23rd, we're starting at 6, not at 6:30. So we'll go back after that to 6:30 to give people the opportunity and the chance to make sure they can do that. But this was meant to be so we can get through all these things and also to give, because of the select boards meetings, a little more of a separation in the time.
I could be brain dead, but I don't think we've talked to the assessor yet, remember?
No, they were supposed to be today, but,
Just so we don't lose it.
okay. We'll pull that forward and look to see where we can bring them in, probably the 23rd.
Probably nothing in the budget.
Yeah, from a budget, there isn't, but the conversation there would be, where is it? Yeah, I was looking at their budget for a minute, just to.
It's just salary.
Yeah, so yeah, total budget increase of 2.11%, so total increase,
That's one within guideline.
yeah. Yeah, they have salary increase of 3% and then everything else is 0.
Who's this?
Do we need
Assessors.
to talk to her?
So the only reason to talk to her would be if you guys have questions, I was gonna ask you, any questions about the assessment process and the estimates for, growth.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it, yeah. But so if there isn't, if there are, that's great. But, or if we wanna just pass along questions, maybe next week I'll put some time in, a few minutes for us to just ask ourselves, do you have any questions about growth assumptions, any of that, or anything else for the assessor, and we can try and do it without having Tula come and join us.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
Right. All right, any final thoughts, comments, questions? So we know what we've got for our plan.
Do you have any follow-up for, Essex North Shore check?
So we heard the surprise last month. I've gotten a second-hand update. So take this as another official who had it shared with him, shared it with me, not getting it from Kevin. That more than one of the other towns are livid about this. And so I don't know, I don't have enough sense as to whether or not that means that it's going to be reassessed. But no,
It's not.
Doesn't sound like it. I know Kevin's been working quite a bit to have conversations, and everything they did was legal, everything they did was sound. They have the authority to do what they did, so I think it's pretty set in stone at this point.
do we know how, with the vote, do we yet have the actual vote tallies, who voted for it and who voted against it?
I think you might have that.
Yeah, I want that.
I guess it was like a weighted.
Yeah, no, it's disturbingly, well, so the way it's weighted. Oh no,
8th grade enrollment?
yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, how are you?
Good evening.
I'm here
That
first.
was the third
Right.
proposal, was 8th grade enrollment.
Yeah, no, the way the
What's that? We might wrap up before you.
Oh, yeah, no, I actually walked out because I needed a moment.
yeah, the way it's weighted is based on town population. And so your vote, while you may be a member, your vote is substantially less than the percentage, than the vote count. So the Beverly members' vote is worth 6 or 7 times what our vote is. So they get 7 votes and we get 1 type of concept. Which is why this is a problem. You know, I mean, I get it. There should be, you're representing a larger amount of people. You should have a greater vote.
Yeah, but
I'm
they
not,
shouldn't have the ability to impose
Oh,
this
the type of- yeah.
outrageous expense on us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And other towns
Yeah.
our size. They
Why don't
really
all the
should
small
not.
towns pull out?
We can't.
you have to have another solution.
By law, you have to offer technical school as an option.
Yeah. So, not for nothing, we're close enough that Whittier, although Whittier has their own set of problems right now, or just came out of their own set of problems. You're familiar with that one.
Yep.
Whittier tried to slide through a $700 or $800 million school.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
$450 million.
It was
Yeah.
450, okay, sorry. Thank you. they tried to slide through a school and, almost got it, and then a few people noticed it and said, whoa, 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 and fortunately, they found out before the vote, and the towns, the other towns went. I know, Newburyport went through the roof.
Yeah, yeah,
I also know a few others that did as well, but Whittier, we're close enough that we could take screw with a Whittier. That's not my call, our call in any way, but so, Beverly does, not Beverly, Middleton doesn't have a whole lot of options, and certainly, Marblehead is,
Nothing's close to Marblehead.
no, no,
Yeah, and they tripled.
yeah,
triple,
yeah.
I can't believe people drive from Marblehead to the Tech currently.
No,
Yeah.
I can't either.
That's a hike.
Yeah.
Getting to Salem is a hike.
Yeah.
Oh, getting to Beverly,
Salem.
I cannot believe the kids are driving from Marblehead to Middleton for school.
So it's late, so I don't want to do it tonight, but I've started to do some analyses, so I want to be able to talk to you
Okay.
about like my thought process.
Okay. So, so anyway, this is a problem for us. And obviously it's gonna be a big problem for us. But it does cause us, the heavy-handed nature of this, or what appears to be a heavy-handed nature of this, is a concern. Honestly, that's more of a concern to me than the actual money amount. The fact that it was just pushed through like this.
Yeah. That's not right.
Quick question, Jay, do you know if we get any money from the state for the Nike Village facility?
I don't know.
Is that a state
I think
operation?
Neil said it was private, right?
Yeah,
It's private.
if we got something to be like embedded into the cherry sheet, which I don't think it would be.
When we were talking to Neil, he said they're there frequently.
Yeah,
So there is a burden on the town services.
Well, respectfully, probably for him, on the flip side, probably, I don't know what Medicare gives for. When the fire department's there, that a lot of that stuff probably goes,
If the fire department goes.
yeah, well, or ambulance service, right?
This was other altercations.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they're there every day.
What's that?
They're there every day,
Really?
breaking up fights, pulling knives on them. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What? Really? What he said. That's like where they spend all their time.
What is that? Nike facility?
We learned a little more than we want to.
Well, we
Sometime in these
started
liaisons.
pressing on why you need the answers. Sometimes you learn.
Yeah.
So they're not making sneakers.
No, it's a
that was the first thing I thought too.
No,
I was
so
like,
it used to be an old missile site. So Nike was the 1950s. That were the first set of missiles. And so there's one there's one over in Hamilton. I mean, they were, you start realizing how,
They were all over New England.
yeah. So those were missiles. So Nike is talking about the missile, not about the sneakers,
Yeah.
just so you know. All right. Anything else anyone has?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. See you back here, same bat time, same bat channel, 6 p.m. on Monday, the 9th.